Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody this beautiful Friday morning? Well, I hope it's beautiful where you are. It's gorgeous here today. Welcome to Uncorked with Brandy, guys. We are live on YouTube and Mosaic TV this morning. If you're in the chat, say hello and good morning. Got my coffee. Everything's backwards this morning because I got up earlier to get all the animals. Normally this time of day, I'm still taking care of animals. And we're going to be comfortable on the couch today because this is going to be a long stream. Good morning, Abraham. Good morning, Dana. Good morning, good morning. Oh, enjoying my coffee. And my eyeballs are sleepy this morning, but it's beautiful. It is sunny. It's going to be almost 90 today. Like this morning, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start getting up and taking care of animals earlier because way too hot already. I was already sweating. That's why I have my hair up because it poofed. My hair does not like the humidity. So let's talk a little bit about Waco before they get started. February 28th of 1993, the ATF had search warrants and arrest warrants for David Koresh, a few other people. I think Dave Jones was one of them. Harry was one of them. Good morning, Brian. I hope you had a good one. And I have a frog in my throat this morning, of course. And the search warrant for Mount Carmel, which is right outside of Waco, Texas, and it originally was a Seventh-day Adventist church compound, and it's a whole long history of how David even got that. He went there, joined what was there, had a fallout with them, ended up being in trouble with the law over something on my eye, and it's driving me crazy. It's showing up on camera. And like him, I think it was Clive Doyle. I know there were 4 or 5 other men. They go and they take weapons and they have a shootout, and the other guy gets shot, and they all go to jail. And I think they served a few months or something. I don't know, but he ended up going to jail. He was like digging up bodies and saying he was going to bring them back from the dead. That was weird. But that guy goes to jail. David takes over Mount Carmel. And it's a very strange religious belief. And there are some of them that still follow the belief system that they had. And David ended up taking on several wives, and come to find out some of them were minors. A lot of them take the approach of, in the Old Testament, girls of that age were married out. It's still gross. I don't care who you are. And a lot of them now say that if they'd known that's where it was at, they wouldn't have supported it. Kev, I am going to be streaming their memorial. I'm going to be streaming their memorial. David gave me permission to stream that. And that way those that can't attend or on the Facebook can watch it on YouTube if they prefer. And I'm going to show some of the website here in a minute. So on the first day, ATF already knew that David and them knew and should have called off their search warrants and raid that they were planning, because the element of surprise wasn't there, and they show up and all hell breaks loose. People, it was over an hour long standoff, a massive shootout. And 6 agents were killed. 4 of the Branch Davidians died that day. There are a lot of theories. I'm not going to go into the investigation, and maybe we will. I don't know. But I do want to share. Let's go over here and go ahead and go to this. Let's see. Find it. All right. So over on the WacoSurvivors.com website, they have this memorial, and this is, I'm going to play this. Morning, Mama Dukes. Mute that for a second. That was a memorial, a very beautiful tribute that they've got on the website. A lot of those people, we don't know those names because we just don't talk about them. We talk about the ones that are more prominent in all of it. But in the end, it's a lot of people that lost their lives in those 51 days senselessly because our government took upon themselves to be frightened of a religious, I'm going to call it a cult. They don't like that term, and I don't do that disrespectfully, but it was along those lines, and it is considered a cult. But they weren't hurting people. Now, were their children being forced into marriages? That is a probability. But the one guilty of that is gone, so that we can't question. You know what I mean? Kev had some really good points. I'm going to go back up and share these while we wait for them to get started. YouTube was blocking my comments. I'm like, hello. And they weren't. They was like, I'll share that here in a second kind of thing. So a while ago, the agents who were shot on the 28th were shot by their own people. The doctor who performed the autopsy even stated the bullets found in the agents didn't match anything the Branch Davidians fired. And that is from David Thibodeau's book. If you have not read his book, I highly suggest getting it. It is an amazing book. Easy read, and it really comes from somebody who lived it. You know what I mean? So it's not hyped up. I'm trying to think of my words here. My coffee has not hit my brain yet. And I'm going to pull up those FLIR tapes they show. We have a few minutes before they start. Rebrand says the government will always lie to cover up their faults. I know they scapegoated me. And this is another thing that people, and this here is true too, Kev. They also knew where everyone was at on the 19th. They could hear and see inside of Mount Carmel throughout the 51 days. They had sent in through the milk and the food that they sent in for them to eat. They had microphones and cameras, and they knew what was going on. They knew everything. So them pretending and saying that they didn't know, bullshit. And they pumped CS gas for 6 straight hours, and that's why no one came out. They were paralyzed from that much gas. And that gas is highly flammable. Highly flammable. They knew they were using oil lamps for lighting. They knew that there were all of those babies in there and how dangerous that was for those babies. And when I say babies, I mean kids, not just infants, kids. Anybody under the age of 18 is a baby to me. 9 came out because they came out of the top area. That's right. Even David Thibodeau, they said when they came out, David and Clive both said that they were just tears pouring because they burned. Not only from the gas, their skin was burning, but the flames and the heat. And they were seeing balls of gas shoot through the building from the freaking tanks. And when you watch the FLIR tapes, you can see the tanks shooting stuff through the building. Bullshit. And for one thing, it is against our own laws to use military equipment against civilians. So there's that. Christians were considered a cult, 12 dudes following a guy in the desert. Branch Davidians were everyday people who just wanted to know more about the Bible, and Koresh could show them that. I can agree with that. And what I had said in here that I didn't show on the screen is I want to see the front door. The front door will tell you who shot first. That front door has mysteriously disappeared, and they tried to say it melted in the fires, and then they proved in court that that kind of door wasn't gonna melt in that. They had one door. They have one door, but not the other one. So only one melted, and make sense, and the other survived. No. You fell asleep with your makeup on. I made sure to take mine off because I knew if I didn't this morning, mine would take forever to get my face to look like I wasn't punched in the eyeballs. So 6 minutes. They, they shot people up on the towers. The helicopter shot guys that were up on the towers. I'm trying to remember which one it was up there. It said in the clip a while ago. Guys that were trying to get back in the beginning, going over the fences, they were shot horribly, like 17 times. It was miserable. It was, the number is, what is it? 82. Hold on. I think it's 82, Kendall. So on February 28th, we lost four agents, which was Conway LeBlanc, Todd McKeon, Robert Williams, and Stephen Willis. And then we had, I'm on the phone, 6 Branch Davidians, which was Winston Blake, Peter Grant, Peter Hipsman, Perry Jones, Michael Schroeder, and Jadine Wendell. And on the last day, there was 77. So there was 76, I think. So 82 people died that day through the whole event. Peter Jen. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm horrible with names. Absolutely miserably with names lately. See, I have been planning to go, Kendall, to Waco to actually interview and stream, and I just never make it. I'm only 4 hours away. My sister lives right there, and I could go stay with her. You remember that you was young. I wasn't too young. I mean, I had babies. I had 2 kids at that point. I wasn't that young. I remember being horrified by it because it didn't make sense. And a year later to the day, we had the Oklahoma bombing from Timothy McVeigh, and he was there that day. And his whole thing on the Oklahoma bombing was retribution for what happened at Mount Carmel. I mean, our government was just wrong. You don't go in on private citizens the way that you do like that. You don't. They had a license to sell weapons. They sold weapons at shows like a lot of people do, especially in Texas. And they had their licenses. They were legit. Now, were they stockpiling? Probably. I mean, I know private citizens that stockpile. But I like I said last night, guys, I am a gun rights supporter, so I don't have an issue with that. I just don't. Your favorite villain says the government can't be trusted with anything. Nope. They will lie, cheat, and steal and murder. Yeah, it was Mike Schroeder. I started to say a while ago when I was reading the names that it was Mike that was killed coming back in. Mike Schroeder was shot in the back and head while coming back to Mount Carmel from work. The guys were arrested. Mike's body was left there for days. Yeah. Yeah, they had no weapons. They had nothing. They heard about what was going on. We're just trying to get back to their families and save their wives and children. And they were shot. And the others were arrested. He was brutally murdered. I'm gonna say murdered. Your favorite villain says, I wouldn't think that in Texas it's that unheard of. And it's not. It really isn't. And I have talked before, and this is one of those things I'm going to get another subject I'll get back onto is cult theory. In the end, most religions are somewhat, and they fit a cult profile. If you read cult profiles, religion fits it. And so it's one of those that people like to argue about. I consider a lot of the Branch Davidians that survived friends because I talk to them on the groups and different things, and I adore them. And respect them no matter what had happened. You know what I mean? And so just because they're was part of a cult, I mean, most of them were children. It's not that they're bad people. And Clive Doyle was an amazing, sweet soul, sweet soul. Sadly, lost his life to cancer. So Kev says, when David took over Mount Carmel, there were guns, drugs, and porn there, and got rid of all of that. The guns, though, were being demilled when the ATF attacked them. All right, let me go log in. Oops, that's not what I want. I didn't want one either. Oh, I lost my Zoom link. Let me go launch over here. It'll give me just a minute. Well, it's not wanting to open. I had it. Oh, you know what? It's still open. No, it didn't stay open. Well, where did it go? Must be a lot of people trying to get in because it's not one to open. I'll get there, guys. Give me just a second. It is wanting to be difficult. I had it open and it, I guess when I was playing that other, it disappeared. Well, crap, the link's broken. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to get that link, but it is not. Let's see. Can I open on that? Here we go.
Recording in progress.
I don't know. You put a whole new dimension on everything.
Intimate. I like that one.
Yeah, it was. It's true. Okay, stop. We have Sheila Martin's in the house. Sheila Martin's from Compton. Just kidding. She lives here in Waco. She came all the way from that. Hi, Sheila.
All right, here we go, guys.
Hi. We have Heather Jones is here today. Hi, Heather, the famous Heather Jones. Kevin, is Kevin here? Oh, Kevin Jones will be here. He's not here yet. Wallace Kennett, where's Wally? He hasn't shown up yet. Oh, he is, okay. Wallace Kennett will be here. He was there for I guess he was there for the Palestinian experience, which was much earlier than when I was there. But I knew Wally. He was one of the musicians that played with David's band. And I haven't seen him for a while, so it's very good to see him. And for the first time in many years, we have Roger Haldeman. Oh, he has to work today? Oh, okay. Oh, that's too bad. David Koresh's half-brother is here in Waco. You know, he told me this amazing story. I was going to save it for later, but if he's going to work, I just wanted to tell this. Bonnie Haldeman, David Koresh's mother. Some of you know, some of you have met. She was, she was killed a few years back. It was a bizarre situation with her sister. I guess her sister had some mental illness. And Roger, we were talking to him last night. We had a dinner together and we were talking with Roger, and he said that he was speaking to his mother right before it happened. And he said that he felt that she was more peaceful and at peace than he had ever seen her in her entire life. And he said it really affected him how at peace she was literally moments before she went into the house and was killed. So I just thought that was very special. I wanted to share that with you guys because I had not heard that. I didn't know. But, you know, Roger could tell that there was something, it's like she was prepared for whatever was to come, just, I guess, hours away. So I just thought that was, I wish Roger was here to tell the story, but so yeah, we'll think of Bonnie, you know, yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I was wishing you'd be here today. We'll run into him later. Okay. So, okay, I want to take this time to have some special thanks here before we really get started. I want to thank the one and only Catherine Wessinger, who has she's been such a great guide and help to all of us. You know, she's helped Sheila with her book and Clyde with his book. And all the memorials, you're just always here for us, and we so appreciate you. So just a few words about Catherine in case you're wondering who she is. She's a Loyola University in New Orleans professor of history of religions. Her focus is millennialism, say that 10 times fast, new religions, women in religion, and religions of India. Also the co-general editor of, I'm not going to get this right, Nova Religio. So I thank you again for all that you do. And we have Matt Whitmer here today. I want to give a special thanks to. He painstakingly put together the slideshow presentation that we'll be showing at around noon. And boy, we had some time yesterday. We went through it, fine tooth comb, and made some changes. And we spent about 4 or 5 hours on that. And so we've been tweaking that every year for the last several years. But, you know, Matt had the vision. He started it. And we've used it every year. So thank you very much. Oh, and also I wanted to thank you for Clive Doyle's Memorial Stone. That's a place that it's the Oakwood Cemetery. We had a little controversy trying to find it was the Oakwood Cemetery.
Rosemount.
Oh, Rosemount.
Yeah, it's close to Oakwood.
So this
See,
is
well, there's
David
the-
Thibodeau
there's
talking.
the-
He is
yeah,
a
we didn't have it
survivor
right.
and wrote a book.
There's the controversy. All right, very good. And so it's not the same. Professor James Tabor couldn't make it here today, or Phil Arnold. Just two very special individuals that have always been here for the group, giving great talks. Hi guys, late comers, nice to see you. So they can't be here today. I was going to play a video of Phil Arnold, and one of the reasons I want to play is he was introduced by Ron Engelman. We couldn't make that video work today, and there's not going to be enough time. But I did want to mention the Ron Engelman and the Ron Engelman show and how much Ron meant to everyone that was inside that building. He had a radio show, and it was a national show. But he focused mostly on constitutional endeavors, you know, the First Amendment, Second Amendment. And he was just shocked at the abuse of power by the government toward the group of people. And so while we were inside, we were listening to his show. And for me, especially, you know, when the tanks are coming in and they're taking the cars out and they're destroying the property and they're just, you know, destroying everything around you. And you think any minute you could die, any minute they could come through the walls, you know, because the 51-day siege is quite a bit of time to think. It was Ron Engelman's show that really gave us strength. Just to know there was a voice out there that was supporting us on just the constitutional values of this country, and to realize that we were fighting against this oppression, and that we hadn't even had our day in court and we're already being tried in the press. were already being vilified and basically crucified as the 51 days wore on, and it got worse and worse and worse. So there's an expression, there's a quote I always love from history. There's a senator named Henry Clay who said in the 1800s, the devices of power and its minions are the same in all countries and in all ages. First, it marks its victim and denounces it, exciting the public hatred so it can conceal its own abuses and encroachments. So it's almost like the louder they're screaming about how evil or bad someone is, it's almost like the more you need to learn that other person's story, because you don't know. The power of propaganda is complete. It's massive. It's been around forever, and it goes on and on and on. And that quote just has always been very, very powerful for me. So, okay, I'm going to move on here. Thanks to Ron Engelman. He passed away several years ago. So that's my notes. Now I was going to wing the rest. Yes, Sheila? Gordon. Gordon is absolutely someone special. Gordon, we have Gordon Melvin is in the house as well. He used to work he was a Baylor University professor. You're retired, right? Yeah. Gordon has just been, thank you, Sheila. Gordon has done a lot for all of the people over the years. And Kevin Jones finally is in the house. He showed up. Good to see you, Kev. All right. So I wanted to see, Dana, did you want to tell some stories, or do you have anything you want to say?
Hi, y'all.
No, I mean to come up here. You don't have to. Paul's,
I do have a little.
I thought you might.
But no, just.
No.
I need- oh. I was thinking of people, and the person who came to my mind was Edna Doyle. I talked a little bit about Clive last year. I think you all called her Sister Edna. I called her Sister Doyle. See, Sheila and I call her Sister Doyle. Other people would call her by her first name. I could never do that. And, you know, you look at her and you think that she's a crabby old lady. And sometimes she was, but I want to tell you about a side of her that was not. She would help take care of my young son when I was going to nursing school. And he just loved her and she loved him. I haven't seen Wally since probably 1991. And Peter Hipsman was a fun guy, really funny guy, and he would always, he would imitate people when they weren't around. And Wally has a way of standing with his hands like he's at ease. And so when I saw him last night, when I first came in, he stood up to greet me. He stood just like that, at ease. And I said, Wally, the first thing that just popped into my mind was Peter Hitzman imitating you. Because Peter made people laugh, and he made up songs on just on the spur of the moment. He and Greg Summers were like Abbott and Costello, right?
They did that to me.
That's right. So I'm being very distracted now because there's people coming in that I haven't met yet. That's pretty much all I got.
All right, very good.
So-
Paul, do you have any words you'd like to say? In a little bit.
Yes.
If not, I'm going to tell the Kalani story, which I think is probably horrifying, right?
Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you coming and sharing in this memorial. It's always kind of a tough time for me, remembering your friends, family. I came to Mount Carmel. Well, I'll tell you the story, how I connected. Dana, we're from Hawaii. My family, my dad was from Oahu, my grandmother's from Maui. And we were a member of, I don't know, I was at Diamond Head Seventh-day Adventist Church. Were you part of the same church, or
Yeah.
Manoa? So we had a group there, young adults, Christian organization. We're all into the church. We hiked, we did a lot of things together. Then this message came to Hawaii, kind of took us by surprise. And the way I was connected to this was I was at a Bible study at our church. It was like a Friday night, and there was a Bible study going on, and some of the elders weren't happy with what was being presented. They stopped the meeting, which I'd never seen. I'd been in the church for like 5 years, and I thought it was unusual. I was like, this is kind of censorship, or anybody should be allowed to say what they wanted to say. And so they stopped the meeting, and I thought it was wrong. So I told everybody, hey, you can come to my house and continue this Bible study. So I invited, it was a small group, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 people. So they came to the house, and that was how this got everything in motion with this message. Then I ended up talking to Steve Schneider. We were good friends in Hawaii. And I was like, hey, there's this person that supposedly has a message. He's in California. So we got plane tickets. We flew to LA, and I can remember going to Loma Linda University, and I heard there was this person. It was David. But so I went up to the church. It's a big college church. I don't know if you guys know Loma Linda. It's a big, like for medical school. That's what Adventists are into, medical, dental, all that stuff. And I can remember walking up, and I told him I'm looking for this guy. At that time it was Vernon, but that was David. And they said, oh, he's over there by the room. So I walked up, stood behind him. He had his Bible open. He was giving this Bible study to these two young people, like college kids. And I just stood there and listened. And I was like, everything sounded pretty good to me. And so when I was done, I said, hey, when he was done with his study, I said, I flew here from Hawaii. I heard you had a message. I want to get more information. And so he said, oh, we're going to go meet at this park. And I think Perry Jones was there, and Floyd Houtman, a few other people. And so we went to a park. So I got a 13-hour Bible study, 13 hours.
Wow.
And I wasn't bored. I wasn't tired. It was amazing. And I can't repeat it, but And Steve Schneider was not there. He was following me. So I just pretty much told David, hey, I got to go back to Hawaii because I had to work. And I said, if you want to come to the islands, there's, and continue this study, you can. And so I left. So that was my connection to the message. Eventually, how many people were in our group from Hawaii? It's about 13 or 15 people. We left the most beautiful place in the world to ended up in Texas. And I don't know how many are from Texas. I mean, great state, but it's not where I want to live. But I came here for a reason. It was for a purpose for this message. And I felt compelled. Yeah, the ants, the yellow jackets, whatever. So we ended up in Palestine, Texas, stayed up there for a while. And then like he was telling you, there was a shootout to get the property. I was there. It's a long story. But does anybody have any questions? Like something you want to know, or I always like no questions.
I was hoping you'd tell a story you told us about that little piece of material. What happened?
Well, are you guys familiar with the initial when we took the property over? So we were in Palestine. George Roden had run all the Davidians off the property, took over the property. I didn't know much about the past or the history. I just knew that there was this guy, George Roden, that ran the people off the property and at gunpoint. And so apparently he had dug up a casket, put it in a church, was telling David that he wanted to have a resurrection. Whoever could resurrect is the true prophet. And David was like, he's
a profit off.
Yes. And David didn't want to have any part of that. But some of the older people were upset that he had dug up the graveyard and took this casket and put it in the church. So we went to the sheriff's office and said, hey, this George Roden dug up this. Probably get
You're breaking up. We can't hear you.
question.
Uh-oh, something must be wrong with the feed. It must be having sound issues. Connection issues, I guess. Not sound. This happens with technology. So they are having technical difficulties. See if they're saying anything.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
Now we can.
I can hear you. I couldn't hear anybody for a while, but now I can hear you. I went out and then got back in again.
I can hear you in California.
I think some people are trying to talk before they unmute, and I think that's part of the problem.
Oh,
But I think we lost the video for David and for Paul, did we not?
darn.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably just have to rejoin. I'm texting Catherine right now.
Can anybody hear me in Utah? Rebecca Spalding? I don't see my face on there. Did you put your thumb up?
Yeah, I can hear you, Becca.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I can hear and see you.
I can't see myself, so I wondered if I was on there.
There's a should be a little, if you signed in again, you need to go to the lower left corner and it says, do you want to be recorded? And then
I push yes.
okay, that should allow you to unmute your video.
Oh.
There's a little camera icon.
So I can unmute it just by pushing the camera.
Yeah.
But I don't see myself. Do you see me? You do? Oh,
There's an option to where if you want to see yourself, if you go down to like participants, you can do it that way and click on yourself, or you can click on usually in the top right corner it says view, and you can click on hide self view or show self view. So you might have hidden yourself.
Do we have to go in and rejoin, or are we good just to stay on this feed? I'm in California.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay, thank you.
Yep,
Thank
Dave
you.
just joined back, so you. he should
Okay. Thanks.
Sorry, everybody, the free Wi-Fi in the hotel disconnected us. So we're gonna get started again. Where's Paul? And Paul, I'm gonna ask you to pull your chair a little closer. So, yeah, speak up and pull your chair closer so and you'll be good.
Yeah.
So this is an important story you're telling, so thank you.
No. There's
Come on.
Pressure's on.
pressure's on. I'm used to pressure. So I know David wants me to share this one story. I mean, there's so much. So where was I at?
The shootout.
The shootout.
They need pictures.
That's right. The sheriff said, we need pictures. It was like they didn't want to get involved, but they knew we were going out there. And they said, you guys better be careful because there could be some shady people living out there with George. So we went to Walmart and we bought camouflage, like duck hunting stuff. And I think I got a Ruger. I bought it at Walmart, like a Ruger Mini 14. They sell those, they used to. And so we all had our duck hunting suits. We had like these 22s and some other guns. And then, so we devised a plan. David Jones was part of the group. I think it was Jimmy Riddle, Floyd Houtman, Stan Sylvia. I think there was about 6 of us, Greg Summers. So we went there late at night. So strange going on pasture land at like 2 a.m. and it's pitch dark and we're walking along and, you know, it's kind of, I'm not used to walking in pasture land at night, but we start seeing these images, dark images coming towards us, look like people, but it was cows. So I was like, whoa. So we ended up going to the back of the property and we're going to go where this casket is, supposedly is in the church. So we had 2 cameras And what happened was, I think it was, I'm trying to remember who went up there. It was Mark Wendell. And I felt how that we were coming to property, and he moved the casket. So we all kind of met at the back of the property, and the casket's been moved. We don't know what it is. So we waited till the morning, and we were gonna go from house to house. There was houses there then, and we checked the houses, and we got up to one house, and there was some people living there, and David was like, "Hey, we're looking for this casket, but you guys just need to leave. We don't want any problems." So when they left, they told George that we were there, I guess, obviously. And then George ends up coming up the road. He has a black cowboy hat on and an Uzi under his arm. And I remember
Phones off, guys, by the way, put the phones on, by.
anyways, George ends up yelling. I could hear him yelling. He's like, "Is that you, Vernon?" And at the time, he says, "George, we don't want any problems. Just leave the property." And anyways, right when he said that, then George starts firing this Uzi at all of us. And so we just took cover. Anyways, I don't know if you guys know the story. George was behind this tree. The casket was in this shed. He didn't want anybody to go by this shed. And miraculously, David fired this shot that hit the magazine of George's gun. He was reaching around behind a tree shooting, hit the magazine, and it disengaged his gun, and he couldn't fire anymore. I mean, it was a miracle shot. It's a true story. So anyways, once George stopped firing, we were just like waiting, and then the sheriff's department came and running towards us. And I remember your dad, David, they get us, and your dad was like, "Hey, don't get us, get George." And I swear, these sheriff's agents turn around and they start running for George. Honestly, just because they knew your dad, I guess he was saying, "Hey, get George, not us."
Power of the US mail.
Yeah. So then they went and got George, and then the helicopters came, and they all got us on the ground, and we ended up being taken into the sheriff's department. You know, they handcuffed us, took us all downtown, and we're in the Sally Port, and Sheriff Harwell was there, and he's like, "Hey, I want to thank you guys for cooperating with my men and not being a problem for them." And then I remember him saying, he goes, "But boys, you can't do this in America." That's what he said. But anyways, they treated us pretty well. Anyways, there was a trial after that. So they were trying us for, there it comes. Well, what was it? Yeah, it was like for manslaughter, murder, all this stuff. We were facing 5 to 99 years in prison. So there was a trial. And back then, I mean, my faith was, I felt so confident that we were going to get through that. I mean, it's changed now after the federal thing. But anyways, during the trial, this is the part that David, they would wheel in. So this shopping cart full of our guns and our suits, our duck hunting suits, whatever you want to call it. And so the prosecutor was, it was the part I was on the stand, and he was like, "Well, Paul Fata," he goes, "I have this," it was a piece of what do you call it? A flannel shirt. So when we were at the back of the property, we got stuck there for a while. So we were like, we had to use the restroom. Okay. So we didn't have toilet paper or anything. We found the shirt, we ripped it up and gave everybody a piece to this flannel shirt. And he was like, and we found this on you, and this piece of flannel shirt was for you to signal the other guys when they were going to go do this, you know, assault. And I was like, no, that's not true. And so he's holding it up in front of the jury, this piece of flannel shirt. And he goes, and Paul Fowler was giving the signal. And I said, do you really want to know what we were using that for? And he's like, yes. And I said, it was toilet paper. And he just went like, he dropped it. And the whole courtroom, the jury and everybody was just like laughing. So
Can imagine.
I think, I don't know, our faith was strong then. We ended up, and I think back on it now, 5 to 99 years in Texas prisons. I hear they're like gladiator schools, and we're all acquitted of everything. I think David got a mistrial, but we all walked away. And then we ended up getting the property. That's how George, it just worked out. So then we all moved on the property. Yeah. Well, for what? I think he threatened a judge or something in the.
Oh.
Or something.
Saying he's gonna give AIDS and syphilis. God would give the judge AIDS and syphilis.
And so he got taken to jail, and then we moved all the old people and the people that used to live there back on the property. And that's how that the new group, if you want to call it, came on. And that's just one, yes.
So at what point did the family that wasn't involved in the church start saying to you like, hey, this is a little, this is a little crazy, or what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like you go to, now you're in trial, you're going to court, your family, I don't know if you had a close family or anything like that.
Yeah.
But back then, the people that weren't involved in the church had to be talking to you at some point along the way, and then through the process and thinking that you're a little.
No, like fanatical or
Yeah.
crazy. So my background, I was raised Catholic. I, probably was drugged at church by my mom by the ear, but I always had an interest in spiritual things. I became part of the Adventist church, which believes a lot in prophecy and foretelling the future. And we believe the gift of inspiration, which is God from time to time would send messengers here to guide his church. So to answer your question, my parents, although they didn't, they respected the fact that I'm making my own choices. I will say this, I never forget my dad when I was, what I just told you, the incident when we got arrested. I was right here in McLennan County. If you ever been to McLennan County Jail, it's like concrete and steel. It was like built in the 1920s, and it's like Arctic cold in there. It's like a polar bear or penguin cave. And I remember there was just these little holes for visiting. There's no visiting room. They send them up, and you're standing there, and there's like a little hole about this big, a window, and then some little holes. And my dad came up, and he looks at me in the face, and he goes, "What the hell is going on?" So and so to answer your question, I think, yeah, my parents thought, yeah, this is a little fanatical, it's a little bizarre, but they respected my decision to do what I wanted to do. So even though, and I think after the trial and everything they saw, what the media was doing and what the truth was, I think it turned their minds around about all of it. You know, they could see that we didn't deserve what we got, the way we were treated,
Did not.
the way the media was manipulated to, you know, make the minds of the masses against us and think we're all nuts and crazy. But maybe we all are a little nuts and crazy, all of us. But I mean, in this country, you should be able to have the right to make choices and do what you want to do without being attacked like we were. But any other questions?
Yeah, we have the right for freedom of religion. And
I don't know
that
if I
should be what
covered
we
everything.
is allowed.
I will say this, I was caught on the outside. I was at a gun and trade show in Austin, Texas. I had left that morning and I was with my son, Paul. He was 14 at the time. He lived there from 10 years old to 14 years old. And my granddaughter's here, McKenna. She's 16. She's obviously my son's daughter, but she had some interest and questions. But I will say this, there was a lot of support. I ended up in Oregon, Washington, and then Idaho. There was all these people, call them Christian patriots, call them whatever you want, that believed in us, wanted to help us. I had people helping that were strangers. It was amazing. But
all over the country, didn't they?
yeah, they were. I felt like the Texas Rangers were trying to. They put me on America's Most Wanted, armed and dangerous. They went from wanting me to help in the negotiations. They wanted questioning that I tipped off my friends on the inside. And so they brought that, if you want to, somebody sent me this. Yeah, my parents.
Show it to the camera.
Here, you
So does
you can pass her.
It's blurry.
It's super blurry.
That's blur.
Look at that mugshot too.
We need a picture of that.
So we were on the, I think, interject one thing.
No,
We were on the inside. We found out that he was on America's Most Wanted, and we were laughing about it. Paul Fata, America's Most Wanted. Do they know this guy? Do they know who we're talking about? See, and I just want to say, so when you were talking, I was thinking about the sensationalism of everything. Because, you know, when you're talking, you're telling your story. It's a little out there. I mean, most of us aren't going to get a bunch of guys and go take back a but it's rational. It's not this incredibly demonized thing, you know, like these evil people with guns that just want to, and that's how the media makes it sound, but that's not the truth. The truth is, you know, we're all people. You want to protect what you love. You want to protect what you have. And, you know, in this country, especially in this state, you have every right to do that and defend yourself. But it's just like, yeah, like you meet Paul Fata, you talk to Paul Fata. This isn't some guy with horns, right? That's like gonna go do some kind of weird like seance thing later. I mean, this is, you know,
personally,
a really nice person.
I respect the fact I really don't like guns. I mean, I had a BB gun, a Daisy BB gun when I was 5 years old. But as far as gun, I'm not a gun expert. I don't, you know, and they tried to make it sound like, you know, but anyways.
So I have a
Yes.
question.
Any regrets on anything that you've ever done with the Branch Davidians?
I don't. I mean, you make choices in life and you take responsibility. I was raised that way. Be a person of your word, you know, love your neighbor as yourself. And, you know, there's a lot of, I didn't just come to Texas on a whim. You know, there was a lot of soul searching. There was a lot of studying. there was a lot that went into it before I decided to go. I walked away from a business. I had 75 employees. I was making a lot of money. I had a nice place. So there was a lot on the line, you know, but I didn't want to be a hypocrite because I was part of the Adventist church and I was there to learn a truth. And I was like, you know what? I would be a hypocrite to put that all aside for money and not pursue my faith. And it sounds crazy, might sound fanatical, but if you believe that everything you have, your talents, is given to you of God, and I really believe that. I believe that I'm walking away from this, but God could give it back to me again. And some of it is true. I've got a little bit back, you know, and not that, so no regrets. I'm moving forward with what I got.
With the intimate that you were with David, what do you think David would think about what went on as looking back from today?
Well, what are you saying with after the
everything that went on?
You know, David was a human being. I mean, he had feelings. He had probably doubt. He's just like you and me. I mean, I feel like he was chosen. He was giving his message along with all the quirks and humanity inside of him. So that's my opinion. I don't know. That's probably a question to ask him. You know, I said, you know, when I was in the Adventist church, I'd go to a lot of revelation seminars and different things. I wanted to know the scriptures. I wanted to understand the book because that's why I was part of the church. I wasn't there for the potlucks or for the you know, the music and all that. I want to know the truth. And that's what I feel like God somehow opened that door that led me here, you know? So, you know, I don't know what to tell you. It's just like a journey.
Thank you.
Someone over here had a question.
How many years did you spend in prison?
13 years.
Wow.
It's all a blur now.
Weren't even there.
That is true. I found out later that other people in prison that had similar charges to me got like 3 years. Because although I was in the were all found not guilty, but what you do is if you had multiple felon, like if you had three convictions, you get more time. But I think our judge went out to get sentences that we shouldn't have got. And so we got punished big time. Probably, and nobody deserved that. And I think what they did is they took the younger survivors and whoever they could, and they needed their pound of flesh. They needed to blame somebody for what happened because they weren't going to take responsibility for it. So,
All that taxpayer money had to be accounted for somehow.
well, could you imagine if we were all acquitted of all the charges? All the people within the government that would have been in trouble. It would have been
that kind of egg on their face.
They had to have a conviction. No matter what. I will say this: when I was in prison, I got a letter from my trial attorney.
Had jury formal surveying.
Yes, she was the head jurist, and she wrote me a letter. I was at FCI Latuna in Anthony, New Mexico, and she wrote this letter. She was apologizing to me. She goes, you know, we're really sorry about the sentences that were imposed on you and your friends. She goes, it was never our intention. She said, we thought you were going to get from or time served in county jails for already like 15 months before our trial. So she said, if we had to do it over again, we would have just acquitted you of everything. So, you know, if you guys ever are on a jury, it's important to know the sentence that's going to be given to somebody, because it will affect your decision. Do they deserve time? Don't worry about the time or the sentencing. We'll decide that. You just decide if they're guilty or not guilty. And, you know, as you know, what 5 people got 40 years. It's a lot of time. That's like a life sentence. And I only got 15. And so, yeah. Oh.
The 40 years were reduced to 50.
Yes, it was overturned, which is a miracle. Nobody once you're the feds, I call it like being in the belly of the beast. Once they got you, it's hard to get out. Very few. That was a miracle that the Supreme Court overturned their sentences. They went from 40 years to 15 years. That's the hand of God. It had to have been, because nobody gets relief. In all the years I was in, I don't think I saw one person. Yeah.
You know, and I think, speaking of that, because it took a long time to get up to the Supreme Court to get that verdict. But I can't remember the justice that said it, but if my recollection is correct, one just said that it was one of the worst decisions by any judge they've ever seen to give them that much time for when they went through all the facts. It just that he was incredulous that this could happen. You know, Judge Walter Smith could abuse his power that way. You know,
What happened to Walter?
Walter Smith. I can still see his red face falling asleep in court while the trials were going on. I almost want to check his water to see if there was vodka in there, like Cheech and Chong. But anyway, he's yeah. I mean, he ended up losing his judgeship. What do you call it? He was having an affair with his secretary, and that was made public. And I guess he was shot at while he was jogging through the park. Yeah, chased through the park.
It's a true story, because Mike Guerin, my attorney in the trial, he picked Mike DeGuerin to represent him. Walter Smith did.
Oh my
Because I'm serious.
Did he do it?
I don't know what the outcome was. I think quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got
Stepped down.
free and retired.
Well, that's such a punishment for a guy.
Yeah,
But think about all the other cases he presided over. You know,
Clive and I ran into Clive's heart doctor one day,
really.
and they just sat across from each other and looked at each other.
Oh,
We both had appointments.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Anything that you want to ask? Or
come on, this is your chance.
you know, I want to say all this. Remember the children. You know, even though I went to prison, all that, I think the children had.
How about the Zoom? How do we see if the Zoom people have any questions?
How about Zoom people?
Oh, this guy's got a question.
Let him finish his thought about the children.
Those children that came out.
Well, all the children, you know, and I thought about that. You know, I'm in prison, but I thought about the kids that lost their parents, orphaned. some had to go to foster homes, some, you know, their families. To me, that was much more difficult than what we went through. So I think I just always want to say, yeah, we want to remember everybody, but the children of Waco. Yeah.
See, there's some messages in the chat. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, all right. Let me ask a question. Can everybody hear us? Say yes or something. Everybody can hear us? Okay, good. All right, thanks. All right, so I think they asked, or Paul asked if you have any questions. Any of you in the Zoom, do you have any questions? You can raise the hand or just raise your real hand. Any questions?
What's that one say?
Sir, go. Okay, so Kristen, unmute yourself and just talk.
Sure. Hey, Paul, I remember the last memorial or the last one before that, you had mentioned that you were in a hotel room because you were outside of Mount Carmel during the siege and everything. Didn't you say that something happened
Yes.
to the owner of the hotel because he let you stay there? I can't remember. Did he get fired or something?
I'm not sure about that because I don't think the ATF knew where I was. You know, I'd been in Austin. I came back. Obviously, I tried to get back on the property, and there was some DPS officers, and they were just like, you can't go past this point. I still didn't know what had happened. I thought it was unusual. Why are they blocking the road to get back out to Mount Carmel? And that's when I started calling people. It's a long story, but I ended up calling Maribel, and she's the one that told me what happened. I was like in shock. You know, there had been a raid, a shootout. People were dead, injured. So when she told me that, I called the sheriff's department immediately after, and I asked them, you know, and all, like, taken over. They were actually very apologetic. We're sorry, we had nothing to do with this. The feds. And so at that point, you know, I was like, what do I do? So I ended up, like you said, staying at a motel. I went to a motel in Waco. I don't even remember the name of it, but I got a radio at the time. I was watching TV and just kind of monitoring what was going on when I don't know if anybody got fired. I don't think the federal agents knew I was at the motel, so I don't know. You know, I ended up staying there for maybe a couple weeks, I want to say, until they had a sealed warrant for my arrest, and that's when I left. But I don't know about the getting fired. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember.
No one would go to the hotels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't.
Well, yeah, but I think Martin Domingue was up before that because he lost, you know, he basically lost his business. That not enough people would. He was known as being the guy that helped the Davidians. So
that's what it was. Yeah.
That's not the thing here in this town.
Well, I mean, that's too bad. I mean, that happened and shouldn't have, but
what were your charges? You weren't there.
so I was charged with conspiracy to murder federal agents, aiding and abetting the murder of federal agents, carrying a weapon during a commission of a crime, aiding and abetting the manufacturing of automatic weapons, and conspiracy to manufacture automatic weapons. So was found not guilty of the first 3 charges, which those were all like life in prison, which would have been, and then the lesser charges, you know, that's what I was, they're like class C felonies, but they enhanced our sentences to make it a lot more.
I was just this one more.
Yes.
I got a question on here from Janet Nickerson. She wants to know if you ever went back and tried to get your
Yeah. Once you're a felon, it's almost impossible to ever have that removed from your record. I did have something removed. I went to my attorney and I had a $1 million and $50,000 fine. And the $1 million restitution was for paying for the medical bills of the agents and all that. I did fight that part and I got that removed because basically I couldn't get and it took me a while to have that removed, but that part, yes. As far as the other charges, that's probably impossible. So once you're a felon, you can't work for anybody. They're going to do a background check and you're done. So you're forced to become a self-employed, be an entrepreneur. That's what you got to do, and which I did.
You were before.
Well, I say I'm blessed. You know, it kind of fell into place. That's it.
It's like Robert.
Questions? Somebody.
I might ask you.
Yeah, Robert and Wendy have a question.
Anyone with a question? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Hi, Paul. Can you
Hi.
hear me? It's Wendy. I'm in your state. Up bright and early. So good to see you.
You're in California. Good to see you.
You know I'm coming to see you soon. You as well. The question that I had is, when I was there last year, and I miss you guys. I wish I could come this year. You mentioned that you had stayed away for so long, and you had not been back. And now I see that you're back, and I was so glad to see you came back, and now you have your son and your granddaughter. Tell me why it's so important now for you to be back. What it was that why you stayed away. And the second part of my question is, in all of your studies in the Bible, and you know, in terms of just your faith, what is a scripture and what is something that you live by, that's near and dear to you, the scripture the most?
Okay, well, first of all, the part about staying away, you know, I was on super for a lot of years, didn't leave where I was at until I finished that. And then the other part, just like everybody else, I had to make a living. I had a business. It's hard to get away. Of late, why am I coming? I'm coming because of David and Dana. Maybe it's a little therapeutic, you know, to come and deal with the past and what's happened. And I kind of encouraged them. They weren't going to come. And I said, no, you guys are coming because I'm coming. I'm serious. They weren't going to come. So I compelled them to get down here. And my granddaughter wanted to come. I was talking to my daughter-in-law, and she doesn't know a lot about the past, but she's 16. And I was telling my daughter-in-law I'm gonna go to the memorial, and my grandmother says, I want to go. And I was like, you want to go? She's like, yeah. And I said, well, it's up to your parents if they allow it. So she's come down. She's, asked a lot of questions. And then as far as the scriptures go, I would say, we talked about me being in Hawaii, and I had I was running a business making $6 million a year. That's back in the early 80s.
Wow.
So I was on my way to, having a good life. But I would say to gain the whole world and lose your soul. And I think that resonated, that I would be a hypocrite if I'm part of this church and organization and I'm pursuing my faith, which should be, your ultimate goal in life, I think. But so I would say that. And I remember leaving Hawaii and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna, make this decision, move forward. And I feel like, if what I have now I'm walking away from, can get it back. I felt that confident. So that's it. Keep it simple.
Yeah,
Great,
this was gonna
thanks.
be a Zoom event. All these systems we all come down here.
Yeah. I told David and Dana, get down here. Even for the small group, even if there was 5 people here, it doesn't matter. We're actually here for you.
And that's, that's the thing that Paul said. It's like, that this is why I'm here. It was so compelling, is that this is not, and I knew it wasn't about us. This is for other people. Have meg toward us and toward what happened. And I even do out there right now, people that are in my Facebook group, we talk all the time, always sharing stuff on Facebook. I see many of you, and it's like, you guys are a big part of my life. Everything. It's just on wanting to, I just, all I want to do is play music. And that's it. Nothing else really mattered. And then I met David and then the group and everything changed, right? But now what I realize, it's not about how much money you can make. We'll look at the corporations that are destroying this country. They have all the money in the world and they don't give 2 craps about you unless you're not buying their products. They don't give 2 craps if there's so much homelessness that nobody knows what to do about the problem, or the fact that there's not enough mental facilities for people to be able to go and get the help they need. Instead, we put them out on the streets so they can get into even more drug addiction and war with each other and then war with society. We have the most money of any country on the face of the earth. Jeff Bezos could give everyone in this country $1 million, and it would be nothing for him. He wouldn't miss it at all. I think all the products everyone could buy. Think of all the good that we could do if everyone were something like that. But the government, if they wanted to, they had to, people got stuff done. People were able to take care of their kids because no one could go anywhere. They had no choice. And again, we're supporting genocides that are happening in the world right now. People are dying. Little kids who have no idea who Israel or Palestine is, or what Zionism is, or anything, are being killed daily. And they don't give 2 craps about what side they're on or what ideology to follow. They just want to survive. We shouldn't be killing each other. The fact that this is going on, I was going to try to help. Here we are, And it's just, I want to see the American people being taken care of. If they got, even the soldiers come back from war, They gotta wait days and weeks to get in to get a therapist. And all of them are through shell shock, going through PhD. You can't be bombed or shot at and not go through some form of PhD. Trust me on this one. And so you have to do a lot of work yourself. You have to find the books. You have to do it because there's not an infrastructure to help that's really effective. I don't know. I just wish. So to get back to my point, the things that are important are here. My mother, all fat. I used to want money. I used to want a lot of material things, and it's all meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. You know, I had a little bit of money. It meant nothing. My mother means something to me. My friends, you know, my friends in Maine, you guys, this guy, Catherine Westinger. This is what is important. And on my deathbed, I'm not going to be thinking of, you know, I wish I would have worked more. I'm going to be thinking, I wish I would have spent more time with you guys. That's it. That's what's important. And Heather, how you doing, Heather?
Is there any more, or that's it?
There's something I want to check.
Okay.
Here, let me move that.
If I could get a chance to talk about fully informed juries, I would love that.
Okay, hold on a second. You know, when we were recording to begin with, and then we got cut off, our Wi-Fi got cut off. I want to make sure we're still recording. We are recording. Okay.
You've been recording, but Kathy, I want to let you know that the bandwidth has been super low. So the video of anyone talking there with David Thibodeau's bandwidth, it's been cutting out a lot.
Sorry about that. The problem is that the Wi-Fi in the hotel, they told me the hotel had good Wi-Fi, but it's free, and it's unsecured. And then I couldn't, my university wouldn't let me access their webpage at the Zoom. So that's why I'm using a wireless device, you know, Verizon. So I don't know. Thank you for telling me. I don't know that I can do anything about it. So sorry. It's just this little Verizon hotspot that I've got. Okay, but who wanted to have? We are recording, but okay. Robert has something to say. Why don't you move back up?
I don't know enough about it. I really don't.
That's a little wireless. It might be better if I leave that it won't grab. It's disconnected. Yeah.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Hold on. Maybe we can do something. We'll try something.
Looks like we have 15 minutes. I still want to read some names, but I also want to make sure everyone has a chance to talk. Oh, absolutely. We're going to get that on for Clive.
We're going to try to improve the connection.
Yeah, Catherine, if you have anything else set up to that hotspot, if you turn it off, it should send all the, you know, waves to this device.
If I turn it off, I'm afraid to do that.
James Tabor says the band was fine for him. It's been working.
Oh, look, we moved it closer to
My bandwidth is working good in California too. I can hear you loud and clear.
Hey, we have James Tabor on.
No, it's right.
Get him to talk. I can't hear you.
Hey, you guys. I just have a few minutes at the Atlanta airport, but I was able to get on, believe it or not. And I just wanted to say hello to everybody. I can turn my video on there. I'm on a trip. I have to do it for a conference, but I really love you all. I posted on my blog this morning about the meeting, and I see David, I saw Kathy, I see a bunch of you that I've known so well for so long, Kathy Schroeder and Wessinger. But I've got to go board in a minute, but I was so glad that I got on. Thank you so much. Belinda, everybody, Kristen, I can't name everybody, but thank you. And remember, numbers don't count. Truth counts, right? So,
Well, thanks for saying hi, James. It's really good to see you.
Good to see you always. I truly love you, and I mean that, every one of you. The fact that you're even here, thank you.
Thank you.
We all love you back, James.
Does anyone else have a question or want to say anything? I'm going to start reading some names, but I'll take a couple more. Robert's iPhone has a question.
Yeah, I'm with the Fully Informed Jury Association. They did a lot of work for trying to bring justice back with the Branch Davidian trials. Larry Dodge, the founder. Yeah, Larry Dodge was there. Clay Conrad wrote a book on jury nullification. And but I just wanted to tell y'all to reach out to the Fully Informed Jury Association. I'm the state contact in Texas. Done a lot of work in McLennan County because of what happened at Twin Peaks in 2015 and with the Branch Davidians. So I still teach jurors about their rights and powers in McLennan County. But I want to let you know that this is the most powerful check we got on the government. One vote from a juror stops the government from taking somebody's life, liberty, and property. It's a very, very important duty that we have. And I would suggest y'all reach out to the Fully Informed Jury Association at fija.org. Get some brochures, hand them out to your neighbors, friends, coworkers. Make fellow citizens fully informed about their rights and powers to save people like y'all. That's all I wanted to say. Go ahead, David.
Why don't you DM me later and get me some of those brochures? I'll make sure that people get them through orders or when I give talks or whatever. I would love to do that.
Yeah, you could send them out with your books and things like that. Yeah, awesome.
Just send me a message
Thank
later.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes,
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Oh, I want to get, let's do Ron and then we'll get Matt Whitmer up, who wants to just get some words on Clyde this year. That I can't wait to hear what you have to say about the old guy. All right, this is Ron Goings is going to come up. He has something to say about what's happening with the property now. Ron was Clive's roommate for many decades, really. I think how many years? About 20 years, and he's still living in the place where Clive was, and he's got the outdoor porch, so we all go and hang out and talk about strategy and memorials and things like that. This is Ron Goings, everyone. Come on up, Ron. A lot of landlines.
Can you see me and hear me okay? I guess you're all. This is a quick update on what's happening at Mount Carmel. Charles Pace has had his incapacitated. Yeah. We have reason to believe that he is being abused by his family. And I never thought I'd say this, but please, everybody, pray for the health and welfare of Charles Pace. Amen. We are supporting a man that is living on the property right now, Peter Christian, who had numerous eviction notices from the Paces. Peter is trying to reestablish some sort of church on the property, not necessarily Branch Davidian, but supportive of maintaining the property. And that's why we back him, because he is fighting the plans that the Pace family has for the property after Charles passes. Like I said, we believe that Charles is being abused and coerced to follow his son's lead in taking over the property once Charles passes, and we have to resist that. My opinion is that the Paces are basically squatters on the property right now and have not fulfilled their legal obligations to possess and maintain the property and the church as it should have been done constitutionally through what we call the Leviticus of the branches. That's all I can say at this point. But there are things in the works. We are trying to talk to each other about what we need to do as Charles' illness progresses, and he may no longer be with us soon. I guess that's it. I'd like to introduce Matt Whitmer at this point, who has something to say regarding my dear friend Clive. Thank you.
Yeah, our dear friend Clive. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Yeah, my name's Matthew Whitmer, and I just wanted, I'm living in California, and I've been coming here for quite some time. And on the way over, I mean, everybody who was here last year remembers we did a slideshow for Clive. It was about 10 minutes long, and I thought that was a good thing to do to show how he was involved, because we all wouldn't be here today, really, if it wasn't for Clive. I mean, David's right. I mean, this memorial was really structured around Clive's dedication and commitment. So I just wanted to come here today and just to acknowledge him, to acknowledge Clive Doyle and how important he's been to all of us. And I say is and not was, because for years I watched Clive coming to the memorials in the days before, leading up to and after. And David and I were talking about how he would sift through his notes to find where all the names were written down. He'd look at all the updates to tell us what had happened with people in the community. He would field reporters, both on radio and TV interviews, with patience and grace leading up to an event like this. And then he would go through the incredibly difficult but important process of remembering everybody who was lost during the siege. I think a lot of people might not be able to calmly do that, but he did that without struggling. And he went about it as just sort of a duty. He always was all in every year. He loved involving other people too. I can remember the first memorial I went to, he said, get up here and talk. And, I met McKenna yesterday. I was like, oh, she's here and she's learning about people here and what's happened and what's gone on. And I think about what Clive would have asked you and what he would have done. I think the reason that we have the slideshow that you're going to see is because of the years that we spent with Clive, sitting and going, sharing and paying our rent to other people, and then sharing usually a meal. If it wasn't the night before, like several of us had last night, it's later today. I still remember one year when Clive was here and we drove to Dallas to pick up Karen, his daughter. And he was so excited, and they talked all the way back. We did the memorial, and then we drove him back to Dallas, and he was so thrilled that she came from Pennsylvania. Ron and Clive visited my wife, Holly, and I several times in LA, and Clive would sit down and tell us stories whenever we would sit down to eat. He just made you feel so good about curiosity and coming together. And I think that's what these memorials do. And we're still continuing in the spirit of Clive. When I was married, many people don't know, I picked a restaurant to have a meal at, and it was a restaurant that we first sat down with Clive when he came out to visit us with Ron, and we all went to Glendale, and he regaled us of his time when he lived in Glendale. And it was such a warm spot that when we got married, we had our wedding dinner there. I'm kind of weird at times. I took up tightrope walking, and I told Clive about it, and Clive always got tickled, and he would tell me about these stories that he was involved with working at a circus before he came to the States, and how he would rig things for the trapeze and the personalities of the people he would work with. And on one visit, Ron and Clive came out. He actually held the 26-foot balance pole that I used to use when I was doing these tightrope crossings. And I always thought that when he held it, it would have imbibed that pole with like a really good and special magic juju. And every time I pick up that pole, I was like, Clive's held this pole. It's my good luck charm. The last several years, I've been studying and trying to document a cemetery that's in Glendale, and Clive and Ron, we went there once when they visited, and I remember the stories he told us when we were there. A couple of weeks ago, I think I told some of you I had lost my job. And it's a job that I've had many years, and it's enabled me to come to a lot of these memorials and be with you. And I remember when Clive told me that he lost his job at a health food store here in Waco. And I remember him talking about it. And then years later, he started working at Caritas. And when he turned 70, they said, you can't work here anymore. And he told us, you know, I can't believe they're not letting me work here. And when I think about that, I think about how he handled it. And he always had perspective on his struggles when he would talk. And in fact, that made me realize and remember that I never felt like I was struggling when I was with him or when I was talking with him. I always felt comfortable. He kind of created that space. He always had a welcoming certainty throughout his car issues and his health issues. And even when he suffered loss from his family and friends, he always created that safe space. Lately, I've been cultivating and sort of collecting cactus in California, and I'm not quite sure why, but it reminded me of years ago in 2000 when I moved to California. My wife and I started collecting cactus, and that was the year that I drove out to the property and I met Clive, and Edna was talking my ear off, his mother, and I spent time with them, and I thought maybe it was the plants, because Clive had plants in that house, and yeah, he was interested in cultivating life. And I think lately I've been distracted with work and wondering why. I've been thinking about the current cactuses. It made me think about back then. And on the flight here, I just thought that every time I talked to Clive, one of the things that I think he gave me, and I think everybody would agree, is you always learn something. Every time you talk to Clive, you learn something. I remembered how much he cared for those plants, and I think that he's continuing to teach me, and it's through these cactus that I think he's still kind of like giving me energy. Yeah. Yeah. Don't listen to Doug side of the moon. That's right. I mean, one of the cactuses that I got was it was this Mexican old man cactus, and I thought, well, I'm getting old. We're all getting old, and I kind of related to it. And then I looked to the side and I saw these big versions of it, and it had these beautiful yellow and kind of red, almost biblical crown spikes coming out. And I brought it home, and they said, oh, that's the Oreo Sirius cactus. I said, what's that? And they go, oh, they call it the old man of the mountain. And I kind of thought, well, that's Clive. That's the old man of the mountain. So every time I water them, I think of him, feel like there's a lot of Clive in these plants. And maybe that's just me, but I think he's listening and he knows what's going on. And he was just so fun to be around. And I'm so grateful that so many of us had so much time to share with him and be witness to his strength and the impact that he had on so many people. I think his ultimate gift was to be present, to really remember how to be present. He always did that. And I can't tell you the number of interviews he did and how calm he was whenever accusations came. Clive was there. So anyway, that's just what I wanted to say. I wanted to say that I feel like he's alongside of us, and because of Clive, it's important to continue these memorials. It's important to acknowledge what happened in the siege. It's important that you show up. And for everybody on Zoom, it's important that you're here. Clive helped us do all of that, and I think we're all a little bit wiser and we're all more present because of these events. So yeah, thanks to everybody who's here, David and Heather, the Jones, Paul, for coming out. I think it's great, and Dana. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you so much. Yeah. I'm gonna. 1 second. I want to see, is Heather in the room? Okay. Then yeah, I want to go over. I have the paper. Okay. Thank you, Matt. You're welcome. Hey, Wally. Anything you want to say?
I got lost, sorry.
Wally Kennett just showed up, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't have very good vision and I haven't lived here over 30 years, so I kind of lost track of where everything is. Anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to come on up and say something. So Wally, when I first moved there, Wally was playing bass and he was a musician that lived on the property. He had left before everything happened, but I think it was just weeks before, right, Wally?
No, it was about 18 months before the raid.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have you sit here. If you got a story about someone in particular, or you want to just tell your story,
okay.
Try to take about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna read some names.
Okay. Well, yeah, it was a weird experience, to say the least. I had been gone for about 18 months and I had a job, a sales job where I had a 100-mile radius outside of Waco, and I was just constantly, basically living in my car, working a lot of hours, and all of a sudden I'm listening to talk radio and I hear about the day before I actually saw the newspaper, the headline article that had the, I think it was called The Sinful Messiah, right? Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. And I see that on the newsstands when I stop to get gas. And I'm like, okay, something weird's getting ready to happen. And it did. And I was coming back from Mahia and Groesbeck area. I had some appointments over there. And when it happened, and I heard about it after I got out of the last appointment I had before it happened, and I stopped at there's this abandoned gas station just outside coming back this way, but it had a phone booth. Y'all remember phone booths? That's kind of a lot of youngsters don't know
Telling
what
the
that is.
age.
But I got on there, something told me, you need to just call the Mount Carmel number. And I called it, and Wayne Martin answered. And he was like, he got right to the point. He said, this call has to be really, really short. You understand that, right? And because, everybody knows I'm kind of long-winded. So I said, yeah. I said, okay, what's, how many of theirs, how many of ours, I wanted to hear it from him, because I was hearing stuff from the mainstream news and didn't trust it for obvious reasons. And he told me, and I was just like, man, it's crazy. He says, okay, he said, they're gonna probably cut this line. This will probably be the last time you get to, through, and everything, but just, watch your back and, don't try to come out here or anything, And I was like, okay. And I tried to call back later, and a few hours later, and the landline was cut. And I was just like, man. And so I just watched the news, and I had the news radio going while I was driving around in my car all over Central Texas, and just couldn't believe what I was hearing and what I was seeing. And then I started to kind of remember those guys that were following me around before the 18 months that I was gone. I was being followed everywhere I went. And I was kind of wondering, okay, I guess they see me as a loose end. Turns out that it wasn't that I was some sort of a loose end because I used to live out at Mount Carmel, which of course, normal standard operating procedure for law enforcement would be to get a list of everybody that lives there, everybody that's lived there recently. And they went through that list, and they saw my name, and my grandfather's last name was a name that was of interest to them because his name was on the title deed of one of the 45-acre plots that made up the 2,500 acres outside of Mena, Arkansas, that had been being used for illegal activities by the CIA for many decades. And it's even before Clinton. Now, when Clinton was in office, of course, it was still going on, and when he was governor and lieutenant governor. But even before that, it was being run by the Bush family.
for after World War II on. And they were doing Iran-Contra through there. That's where everything was coming back and forth from to go, back south of the border to Colombia and so on. That movie, American Made, is actually very accurate. It's more like a documentary than it is it's not fictional. If you ever watch that movie, that's exactly what happened.
A story about someone that was there.
Well, yeah. Basically, Jamie was kind of like, we were very, very close. Yeah, Jamie Castillo. Yeah, we were very close. He was a guy that came in, he was a drummer that came in before Dave did. And he was our drummer for a while. And I always got paired up with him, as, Roonies or Sellies or whatever you would call it. But he was a great guy, and I really miss him. Had a great sense of humor. He even had us, David even had he and I go to his mother's house in El Monte for about, I don't know, it was maybe 6 months or a little less than 6 months. And that was a lot of fun. That was a trip. And his mother was a very nice lady, and she was, welcomed me there and everything. And it was fun. Jamie had, teased me about the pig's head that was in the freezer. He opens it, hey, get something out of the freezer. I hope there's a pig's head there. I was just like, whoa. And he's like laughing, man. He just laughed forever on that. He was just a fun guy. He was a lot of fun. And then of course, there, when I was calling in to the Ron Engelman show, I used a name that another friend of mine, Kevin, I always get his last name wrong for some reason. It's a long story, but he gave me this nickname. It was teasing me about something that was not even really related. But anyway, he nicknamed me Butch. And so I knew if I used the name Butch when I called in the Ron Engelman show, they would, for sure, if they didn't recognize my voice, they would know it was me. And of course, y'all did. Yeah, I just called in every day, and I just, told everybody that, there's something, this is just unprecedented. This is a big deal. And I thank Ron Engelman for being the only guy that would actually not just repeat, parrot the mainstream media and the government's line on everything. And, he just did a fantastic job doing that. But yeah, I just remember, I remember we were talking about Jeff Lewis earlier this morning. And yeah, Jeff, he was just, that guy had an IQ off the charts. He really did. He was extremely, what was it he did? He made the he designed the Salt Lake City's IT system, I think, before he actually designed an entire IT system for a city.
Information system.
Yeah, he was just a lot, you could learn a lot, by talking to him about stuff like that, because he was just, super brain, and he had had an interesting sense of humor, kind of geeky, but he was just a really nice guy. And yeah, and I actually did, towards the end left, I got a little bit closer to Wayne Martin than I had before. And I used to hang out in his office all the time. And because Wayne was always, he was on Prodigy, I believe, if I remember right, this was before the internet. And he was just up there researching stuff on Prodigy that you couldn't find, in those days, that was the only way you could, research things that you didn't get in the mainstream media. And he had some interesting stuff. And he was telling me, that he was still trying to find out some things about why they did what they did in that case in 1987. And, cause, you know, David just told him, hey, just try to find out what else was going on with all of that. And, last thing he told me about that before, I didn't talk to him for a while and then the raid happened was, you know, he said, well, oh yeah, I found some stuff and you won't believe how high it goes. And I'm not going to tell you anything more because I know you have a big mouth. So, so he said, just don't say anything, you know. I was, okay. So I didn't say anything, even that, you know, to anybody. I just thought, okay, it's going to come out. And I was anxiously awaiting, you know, for that to come out. And then the raid happened and then the fire happened and I'm sitting getting my oil changed, you know, and the TV in the waiting room and there come, you know, and the place, it just goes up in flames. And I'm just, you know, I'm in shock. And there's other people in the waiting room, you know, yelling out stuff like, you know, yeah, that's what they deserve and all this kind of stuff. And it was all I could do just to, you know how hard it is for me to shut up, right? Not say something. I was just like, I can't believe these people are responding like this. It's just unbelievable. But they had kind of brainwashed, I think, you know, the general public, you know, they did. And they got a lot of people just assuming.
That must have been powerful though, because you knew everything.
Yeah.
On the outside looking in.
Yeah, it was very frustrating. And it just made me kind of realize that this event was a game changer, beyond a game changer. I mean, it was something that there's just no going back because, you know, and I think we were kind of at that point now to where people realize just how bad things can be. But yeah, it was just a weird experience and then I had the job that I had at the time was selling fire safety equipment.
Wow.
And I had to quit that job because, yeah, I couldn't do that job anymore because I had to do demonstrations of what can happen when you have a fire in the home. And one of the things my boss wanted me to show, and this is while we were giving him a dinner, a free steak dinner at Golden Corral or somewhere like that. He wanted me to show this one slide that shows the remains of a child that was trying to hide behind a dresser in a fire. And he was they said, well, you got to make them realize that they got to make their kids understand they can't hide from the fire. They got to get out of the house. So, I mean, I understand, yeah, that's a good thing, but I'm not going to show somebody that. Well, I just took the slide out of the slide projector. You know, I'm not showing that. And then it just got to the point where I couldn't even talk about any of it. And I had to quit that job. And just, you know, that was bizarre.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Some names.
One quick question, Brent. Are there any transcripts or the audio of those of the time problems of the show? Because I've heard all the telephone conversations and stuff like that, but I haven't.
There should be. You know, that's an excellent question. I should have already checked up on that. I'm sure that there's somebody out there that at least tried to get those because
you have any?
Does anybody want to help me go through
Mike?
Mike, yeah, Mike's the guy.
Mike doesn't have that, but there's thousands and thousands of tapes, and I just barely got a few of them transferred over.
Sure, that is.
Believe it or not, it's cost me $4,000 to transfer all of them.
I don't believe it.
I've got another great photo for you.
David.
Yes.
Douglas had his hand up.
Oh, Doug, let's get done with it. Well, I just got to start reading names here pretty quick before we get to the slideshow. Where's Douglas? Douglas didn't leave.
He's working.
I can't get, it's nothing scrolling. There he is. What's up, brother?
He's there. I see him.
Douglas, unmute, buddy. Hello, Douglas? Unmute. Did you have a question, my friend? Maybe you can't hear.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, no, I didn't have a question. I was just waiting.
Okay.
I saw some waving, so I started waving back.
Very nice. Nice to see you, man.
It's amazing to be here. You guys are all
Okay,
awesome.
so I'm running out of time. I'm gonna move on, guys. I want to talk about, I'm gonna start reading some names here before we get to the slideshow presentation. Okay, do that. All right, so we, Clive started this tradition. There were so many people that started to come in.
Uh-oh, he froze up again. Darn it.
We can't hear you, David.
No, oh, I don't think so. Then. Well, yeah, let's save that.
Hey, Dave,
Yeah.
you were frozen there for 2 whole minutes, so we have no idea what you said.
That's awesome. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. So over the years, we've had many people that have been friends of the group, supporters, people that have come to the memorials. Well, you know, Zoom is fairly recent, but nonetheless. And many of them, Clive, as they would pass away, Clive created a list, which got handed to me, along with the bell. This is how I found out I'd be hosting this. Clive said, "Here you go." And I said, "Thanks for the bell." Didn't think anything of it. Then, of course, that meant that I am now going to be hosting because he didn't want to do it anymore as he was getting older. Before, of course, he passed away. So now I have the bell. So the first person, obviously, that I want to remember, Clive Doyle. And, you know, Matt Whitmer had a lot of words to say about Clive. There's not enough words to say about Clive Doyle. And the best way, you know, Ron and I were talking, and Kathy Wessinger and I were talking about Clive. Whenever Clive would do an interview, they'd always try to put the camera down, show his hands because he burned his arms when he was coming out of the building. And they've always tried to imply that Clive was this kind of sinister guy that set the fire and was, I mean, just nothing could be further from the truth. We kind of sickened me, the fact that Clive the target. If you know Clive, if you see the guy live by an example daily, he was an example to all of us of what to do, of what not to do, of how to live your life. He worked hard. He didn't make much money. You know, he didn't have a wealthy life, but he never complained. You know, he was always fulfilled, it seemed to me. You know, he lost both of his daughters. Karen, even more recently in life, she was to come to attend one of the memorials, and she was hit by she died in a head-on collision. And you know that he grieved. You knew that, like, where other people would be devastated, wouldn't be able to function at all, Clive just picked up and he just moved on. And he was like this pinnacle of strength for me, for sure. And I know for a lot of you people that knew Clive. So we just miss him terribly. You know, he's the reason that we're all here doing this memorial. He's the reason that I'm here hosting the memorial. Clive kept it going for so long, and it's daunting to try to fill his shoes, guys. I got to tell you, but I'm just I miss him very much. And he's top of the list for me of the people that we have lost over the years. I want to give a shout out to Helen Marie Taylor, who died, I think, in 2022. She had the Waco Helen Taylor Museum, where we usually have the memorials. We've done the memorials there for years, ever since Charlie became unbearable and we were not really welcome out at Mount Carmel. We've been doing there at the Helen Taylor Museum, and I just really appreciate her allowing us to do that over all these years. So we remember her. I remember Steve Kreider Benjamin, who was in with the group for a while. He was a good friend. He died in 2021 of COVID. He was trying to avoid COVID. I'm just going to tell the story briefly. And his brother asked him for help, and he said, "I'm trying to do the right thing and stay in. I don't want to get COVID." And he helped his brother, and his brother had COVID, passed it to him, and he passed away. So that's, Jamie Castillo, who died a few years back. He survived the fire. He came out. We went through the whole 51-day siege together. Jamie came out of the same hole that I did, or I should say, I followed Jamie out of the hole at the back of the building. And I was not indicted, and Jamie was. And Jamie ended up doing prison time. And he got out of jail and then died a few years later. So we miss Jamie greatly. In 2018, we lost Kevin Whitecliff. That was one of the guys that Wally had mentioned. And Kevin was, I just want to tell this brief story about Kevin because it's important. In every documentary that comes out, where they interview a lot of ATF and FBI guys, there's a few that are basically, pretty one-sided that way. They all claim that the helicopters did not shoot at the building. And so before we had to make the differential, well, are you talking about the mounted did they have mounted guns or guns on board? And, this is the thing at the trial. There were no mounted guns on the helicopters, but we did find out that some of the agents did have firearms on board the helicopters. They claimed that they didn't fire. Most of the agents claim to this day that the helicopters weren't close enough to the building to shoot at the building. I disagree.
Wow.
I heard them very close to the building. Kevin Whitecliff was out at the back, and after the ceasefire, I went into the cafeteria area of the building. Kevin came in from outside, and he was shaken, and he was angry. And I said, wow, they started firing from the front. He goes, no, they didn't. They fired from the back. The helicopters came in firing. I said, dude, it sounded like it sounded like the shots started at the front to me from where I was. He goes, and he's yelling at me. He's like, I'm outside. I saw the helicopters come in and shoot into the building. And he was yelling. I mean, someone's giving you the BS job. And someone is, this was someone who was just explaining his experience and you knew that it was true. And I always wanted to get Kevin Kevin was living out of the country many years, but I always wanted to sit him down and do an interview and talk about that day. And I never had the opportunity before he died. Kevin died in I think it was a gas truck accident in 2018. In 2009, we lost Catherine Madison. And we spent some time talking about Catherine in the past for sure. She was a pistol girl. Catherine didn't take no gump from anyone. She was something else, Catherine Madison. Jamie Martin, Sheila's boy, who survived and came out of Mount Carmel during the siege. He severely disabled. He passed on in 1998, and we remember little Jamie. And we got Wyla Lucas. And not last and certainly not least, Wyla Lucas, 2017. She was a friend from Henderson, Nevada, and she did so much with all of the survivors. I mean, she was down here every memorial. I got to, whenever we were in her side of the world, we stayed with her. She always had a place for everyone in the community. Had a massive, like Mike Hansen has Wyla's collection, and he can't even get it all digitized. There's so much videotapes, audio tapes. She just recorded everything she could on what was happening. So she was a pretty special lady, and she's very missed. We have Larry Lucas on the list, who I personally didn't. Oh, Larry. Okay, and I get it. Larry Lucas, Wyla's husband, who passed around as well. He was a funny guy, man. Great guy. Doyle Graham. It's on the list. Carol Doyle. Yeah, there it is. All I had to do is go down the next line. Okay. Carol Doyle Graham, 2019. Karen died right before the memorial. She was on her way to the memorial. It was the head-on collision. And this is someone my mother kept in great touch with. Was next on the list. Mary Bell Jones in 2014 passed on. Of course, it would be grandmother to Kevin and where is she? Where's Heather?
She's hiding.
Of course, though, she's hiding back there. She is hiding too. She's hiding behind.
He's
Heather.
afraid he's gonna make her get on camera.
Okay. Anyway, so Maribel Jones was very close to Maribel. Mary Winborn was a good friend of the group's. We spent a lot of time with Mary over the years. She's a beautiful, beautiful person. Caprosi, McNulty. No, Edith Caprosi. I'm not familiar with. Connecticut. Mike McNulty in 2015. You know, the rules of engagement couldn't have been done without Mike McNulty and all the investigative work that he did. My favorite documentary on the subject of Waco is The Rules of Engagement. I still recommend it to people to this day. Ron Engelman. I'm glad that we talked about Ron a little before. I had a clip I wanted to play. We would spend so much time doing the slideshow presentation, we didn't really have time to set up where I could play the clip through my phone. So it's not going to work out this time, but I'll try to have it for next time. But, you know, Ron Engelman had the radio show and he was just like, we wouldn't have known that he was trying to get in touch with us if it weren't for Ron Engelman, or we wouldn't have met Phil Arnold and James Tabor if it weren't for Ron Engelman. So just what a great man. And I know he had a lot of struggles for supporting us after, and I don't think he had a national show anymore after that. Nope. A lot of people, you know, a lot of you people out here, I'm sure you guys have had experiences in even being here, even supporting us in any way. I'm sure you've had some negative Nancys in your family that have said things. I'm sure it's caused strife in your lives, and I apologize for that. But imagine what it's like on this end. So again, you know, I'd rather count my friends on one hand than have a million acquaintances who are stabbing me in the back when I'm not looking.
Every time.
So I know that these people here are real people, and we just love y'all. Thank you for being here. We got Pat Matriciano of Jeremiah Films. I met Pat with Dudley Goff way back when he was trying to get a documentary off the ground. We did early interviews with Jamie Casillo that have never been seen, that Pat gave me a copy of. Actually, Bullets Over Waco. I got an early interview with Paul Fata. Where did Paul go? Did he just leave? So I got to tell this story, and I know we're getting close to time, but we got 6 minutes, 10 minutes. So there's Paul on this tape, and it's an interview with Paul, and they're interviewing him, and they say, "So Paul, why did you agree to this interview today? I mean, you know, it was hard to get an interview with you. Why did you agree to have this interview and talk about your experience in Waco?" And Paul, let's see if I can do it. But Paul goes, "Because y'all, you wouldn't leave me alone. You wouldn't stop calling me." That's it. And he says this in the interview. It's beautiful. It's classic. We're gonna have to make those available pretty soon. But there were just some stunning interviews from people I'd never seen. And you know what's funny? My interview, I did. Jamie did his interview separately. Paul did his interview separately. We all tell the same story about what it was like to live there. And when I watched every single one of them, I was saying to myself, I'm saying, you know, Jamie's story is the same as my story. Paul's story is the same. And, you know, everyone makes everything that happened in Mount Carmel just sound so insane that it's like people say to me, "How could you have been there? You're so disappointed. Why were you there? I like you. How come you were there with those crazy people?" And it's like, you don't understand who they were and the depths of the people and the quality of relationships that you had with those individuals in there. Why wouldn't I have been there? You know, I know how it ended up, but when you're going through it and you're developing the relationships, something that's very poignant and special and personal. I told the story, Paul, you missed. I'll tell you later. It's a good one. Very funny. Okay, so Pat Matriciano, we remember him. Gray McCamps, 2020. I'm not familiar with Gray. Tommy? Friend of Tommy? Oh, very nice. That's very nice. That's it. Yeah, I need a new list for sure. Oh, I got a few more here. I got Richard Mosley. He died in 2017. Yep. Richard Mosley. Oh, Dewey Millay. Right? Remember Dewey, guys? What a guy, huh? Dewey, he put a lot of people up. Yeah. He was always trying to get you to eat better, and he was always so health conscious, the guy.
He taught everything he needed.
Yeah.
Roommates with him for years.
Nice one. Dewey, great.
Big guy.
He died in 2009. We missed him. Edna Doyle. I know there was some words spoken about Edna earlier. Thank you, Dana. 2001. Jean Smith, Australia. Australia. Must have been one of.
From Australia,
Yeah.
one of the original branches.
Grace Adams. Yes, I knew you were gonna say something from New Zealand. Yeah, yeah.
No.
2021. And George Pullman, William? Built the chapel. Oh, wow, no, nice, George. Well, yeah. Dude, that's amazing. Well, we thank George for his time, and he is missed. I'm not done yet. We got Bonnie Hall, 2009. And we told some, Roger, he didn't know, he can't make it this right. I told a little early the story, and I just want to reiterate this because it was so powerful for me to know this, that when Roger saw his mother for the last time, he said that she was so at peace, that he had never seen her so at peace. This was hours before she went into the house where her sister killed her. Her sister, who had a mental illness, schizophrenia, ended up taking Bonnie's life. But to know that there was some kind of peace on her right before it happened, I hadn't heard that before last night. And I'm just very happy that that she had found that, or God had given that to her. I thought it was just very, very poignant. Anyway, what was the last name you wanted to add, Ron?
He was supported of Branch Davidians from day one.
Yeah.
And also, what about Randy Weaver, General Pardon, Ramsey Clark, Roy, which was Bonnie's husband.
Sure. Thanks for mentioning them.
And Bob Hooper, he was one of the head carpenters that built that farm.
Yeah. Let's add those names to the list for next year. So get with me on that. As if we haven't seen them for yet.
And what about Gordon Novell?
Gordon Novell passed away a few years back too. Yeah.
Gordon's still with.
In attitude. That's in attitude. Yeah, they're doing a book about him. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
You're right, it looked like Gordon.
I'm not. Somebody is. They got in touch with me. Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, so we have 5 minutes before it's 2. The fire began at 2:06, 2:07. So we 12. Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. 12:07. So anyone wants a quick bathroom break? Let's do that. Take 5 minutes before we start doing the slideshow presentation. Because we won't be pausing for that. You two at home there on the Zoom, if you all have to use the little boys and girls room, this would be the time.
Yeah, man, we definitely want to. I spent 2 or 3 weeks with him.
I don't think it's favorable.
Gordon came down to Dewey's house. And had me there every day. Oh, right. You basically.
Hey.
Of course. I miss you. I'm so glad that you know that little heart thing and work for me.
Yeah, thank you.
How long are you staying this time?
Just another night. Yeah, just tonight. We were here for the week. Been here for the week. You wouldn't believe how busy.
I would believe.
Lights,
I would
yeah,
believe.
great.
You think you're just doing a lot better.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thanks, Ron. Hi.
Hi.
Hey, nice to meet
My
you.
daughter.
Oh, this is your daughter?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You can't tell?
No, I didn't. Yeah, I guess I can. I love your hair. That's beautiful. That's one of my favorite shades of purple. Absolutely.
I've been hearing about you her entire life, so finally I brought her to meet you. Friends for like.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how mom, I was so nervous about you because I've been hearing these stories.
Yeah.
And if I would have lost.
I bet you have, but she's your mom. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, since like 6 years old, I've been, yes. She knows everything from A to Z. So.
You wanna get Kathy on? Oh, Kathy's coming. We gotta get, I gotta get to the slideshow. But oh, give me a hug.
Why don't we just tell them you're gonna mute while everybody is taking a bathroom break? Okay, I'm gonna mute David because everybody's up taking a bathroom break, but we'll be back, okay?
All right, guys. So while let's do that. While they are taking a bathroom break, I'm going to watch for them at 12. They'll be back in like 2 minutes. Thank you all for joining us. We are watching the Zoom memorial service for the siege at Waco. And as David said a while ago, at 12:07, you see 12:07 or 12:06? 12:07, I think, is when the fire broke out, and they will start their video in remembrance of everybody who died that day. And it gets a little emotional, especially like I have done this for the last few years where I have sat with them through this. Last 4 years, actually. I started in 2020, and gets a little emotional because you get to where you know these people, and or you kind of feel like you know them because you follow them on social media, and we chat in the group back and forth, and you hear their stories. And it is when you hear the stories that they're sharing, and then you watch anything. Kevin and I were talking about that just a second ago. When you start watching the documentaries and the different things out there, the news coverage, and you've heard these stories from the individuals that lived it, takes a different perspective, and it becomes more real, and you get a different look at it, and it's emotional. It's very emotional. So I hope you all have a great weekend when they get through with this. I'll see what time's doing and how people are feeling, and we can pull up the FLIR things on the website and watch some of that if y'all would like. Kind of give everybody a few things to look at while that goes on. Trying to watch to make sure I don't miss them starting, so that those watching on Mosaic TV get to see. Going to flip over to the other screen, but I don't want to leave. I want to be able to, I'm watching them to make sure when they're ready to come back, I'll add it back to the screen. Y'all are very quiet in the chat. Could y'all be chatting and keeping me company? So I can give the viewers something to hear instead of me just looking around at my keyboard. I should have put my contacts in, but my eyes are so tired. I have been on my computer way too much this week. So I had a few sneak in a while ago while this was playing. Finding Voices. Hello, my friend. Welcome, and thank you for joining and watching Susan Smith that we covered last night. This coming Thursday, we will have it's going to be a pre-recorded, but I will play it live and discuss it. An interview with a survivor from the Family Foundation School. I have a few of those I'm trying to get together. some of them are not comfortable with coming live. They're nervous, and that's okay. So I'm going to play that on Thursday. The following week, me and Kendall should have our stuff together for the case that we were wanting to do on the, I can't remember what her name is, but it's the girlfriend that killed the boyfriend's baby, 18-month-old baby. It's sad. It's very sad. I'm going to try to do every other week on the Family Foundation, unless there's a lot that comes at us that we want to talk about, because it is a heavy subject for people, and a lot of the viewers have asked not to, they can't handle watching them. So I want to make sure I have enough stuff on here for everybody. So we will alternate that way. I get a little something for everybody, and it's going to be a members live this weekend. I'm not sure. We may watch a movie. I don't know. I've got a few things I want to talk about. Okay, they are coming back, so here we go.
You're still muted, by the way.
It will not let me go down. I believe this is the video we watched just a few minutes ago. I think they're muted. Did they mute themselves?
Catherine, you're still muted.
Yeah, probably.
There we go.
All right. Hit one of the lights in the front. Just hit one of the switches for the
There we
one
go.
up here. Another one.
Yeah, just pull up close. This is not on the screen.
Okay.
We just gotta remember we're a little tech, ignorant around here.
Thanks.
Hello, everyone. So, and this is the portion of the memorial where we go through the slideshow presentation, and we see the people individually, talk a little bit about them, and then Dana here to my right is going to ring a bell. It's a Buddhist bell. And so we're ringing a bell for every name. Now, last year there was some problem with people on the Zoom hearing the bell. The computer may cancel that out. So I am sorry if that occurs. Just know that for every name there is a bell tone being rung. So this is the original and complete list of those that died on February 28th and April 19th. Okay, I can scroll. That's interesting. Sorry, guys, I'm still learning this. Okay, our first name, Winston Blake. He was British, age 28. He died on February 28th, 1993. That was the initial BATF raid. He was engaged to Beverly Elliott, who was killed on April 19th. He was shot from helicopter fire into his room and buried during the siege in the storm shelter. And Winston was right after the ceasefire. As I was going down the hall, I noticed some water pouring out from the room he was in. And I opened what was a blanket over the door, and I saw Winston's body laying there. So I actually saw him. And he wasn't moving, and it was just water coagulating with blood. And I just, I knew that Winston I just knew he wasn't alive. I could just tell by looking at him. And I just kept on going. This was my first dead body, and it was something you never forget. Winston Blake. Next person on the list, Peter Jent. Peter was Australian. He was 24 years old, and he died on February 28th as well, 1993, in the first in the BATF attack. He was shot on top of the water tower. It says here, likely from a helicopter, which is what we believe. I will say that there are ATF agents, one particularly who I'd spoken to, who claims that he was shot from the ground, and it was his friend who shot Peter. But I just have always believed it's from the helicopter because there's a video out there, shows the helicopter. You can't really tell the proximity, but it's going to the tower. You see something pop up and then go right back down right after. So you can actually see something happening and occurring there. Twin sister was Nicole Gent. She was killed on April 19th. Peter was buried across the street in the front driveway during the siege. And I can't remember the details of that, but there was an agreement made. They took him across the street and they buried him under a tree. And then Greg Summers did that. Greg Summers buried Pete because I guess Greg and Pete were very close. And then he lined the 5 Alaskan Malamutes up in a row so the world could see that they killed our dogs. The first thing they did was come in and kill the penned up dogs. Those were even indicated at the trials in San Antonio that some of the first shots being fired may have been the shots fired at the dogs. So there's a picture out there somewhere of the dogs, and then you see the cross where Peter was buried. And I want to say one more thing about Peter Gent's grave. As the siege wore on, and I got into it further, when the tank started to tear the property up and take all the cars that were in front of the building away, run over the cars, they also ran over Peter Gent's grave, and they did it over and over and over again. And we got on the phone and we protested. You know that there's a man buried out there, Peter, and why are you continuing to run over his grave? We can't control what the tactical commanders do. That's what they would always tell us whenever they would escalate things. We can't control what the tactical commanders do. And so they were deliberately running over Pete's grave. Next name on the list is Peter J. Hipsman. Peter was American. He was 28 years of age, and he also died on February 28th during the initial BATF attack. Peter was from Hawaii, a good friend with Paul Fata, with the group. He was shot above the gym on the dog run. So he was on the dog run of the gym, which would be the back of the building. And he was buried during the siege in the storm shelter. That's where a lot of the bodies were buried initially, because it was the safest place to put them, was underground and away from the building. Peter Hipsman. Harry D. Jones, American, age 64. He died February 28th, 1993. Perry was shot near the front door, along with David, everyone at the front door, Jamie Casillo, everyone who was there told me the same story, that David had the door in his hand. Hold on, there's women and children here. Let's talk about this, as the BTF are coming to the front. And he says that the door went back in his hand from the velocity of bullets hitting it, slammed the door, fell back, and that's when Perry Jones got hit in the stomach region and went down screaming. Perry is the father of Rachel Howell Koresh. David Jones and Michelle Jones were all killed on April 19th. Buried during the siege in the storm shelter as well. Perry Jones. We have Michael Schroeder, American, 29. Michael died on February 20th, 1993. Michael was from Florida. He was killed returning to Mount Carmel, and he was shot by ATF agents. He was working in a place called the Mag Bag. It was another property that David owned. And, someone say something? Anyway, he was shot by ATF agents. He was trying to sneak back onto the property. He wanted to get to his wife and his kids that lived out there at Mount Carmel. And somewhere near the site of the property, as he was coming in, encountered the ATF. They shot him several times. But for us, the most disturbing bullets that were found from his autopsy report were, I think it was 2 strikes to the back of the head. So Michael was killed execution style. So close range, very close range. Father of 1 son and 3 stepchildren. His wife was Kathy, who exited Mount Carmel during the siege. Michael. He was a drummer too. I forgot to do that. Jadine Wendell, American. She was age 34. Died on February 28th, 1993. She was from Hawaii, mother of 4 children, sent out during the siege, shot on her 2nd floor bedroom. She was buried during the siege in the storm shelter as well. Jadine Wendell. Here's law enforcement. So we also honor the 4 ATF agents that died that day. Conway LeBlue, American, ATF agent, his age was 30, died on February 28th, 1993. We got Todd McKeon, is an American ATF agent, died on age 28, died on February 28th, 1993. Robert Williams, American, ATF agent, age 26, died on February 28th, 1993. Steve Willis, American, ATF agent, age 32, died on February 28th, 1993. Kathy Andrade, American, age 24, died April 19th, 1993. Argentinian background. Her baby was Chanel, and sister Jennifer were also killed on April 19th. I just want to say something about Kathy Andrade before we move on. One of the most intelligent people I've ever met. She asked the greatest questions in the studies. Oftentimes, when Kathy would ask a question, the study would take a complete turn and go in another direction. And the information that you would get was just phenomenal. She asked things and perceived things that other people just don't see around them at all. She was an amazing woman. I want to tell this one story. When she first met David, she told me the story personally. I said, "Why are you here?" I was just coming in, and she told me her story. When she first met David and she was going through the scripture and she's trying to figure out who this guy was, what this message thing was all about, and why would she want to come and live in Texas when she's living quite comfortably in California? And she said, she was driving down the freeway in California and she said, "Give me a sign, God. If I'm meant to be at this place and go and live in Texas, give me a sign." And at that moment, she said her car flipped over on its own. And she survived the accident, but the car just flipped over. She didn't hit anything. And she said she knew that was the sign she had literally just asked for. So I don't think I've ever shared that story. Kathy Andrade. And Kathy's daughter, Chanel Andrade, American, age 1 year, died on April 19th, 1993. Jennifer Andrade, American, age 19. This was his sister, Kathy's sister. She was 19, died in the fire April 1993. Once brought a suitcase full of Disney movies to Mount Carmel. She wanted to make sure that she brought plenty of entertainment with her when she came out there. And her suitcase was loaded with Disney movies. That's so Jennifer. Ulrich George Bennett, British, age 35, died on April 19th, 93. He helped supervise some of the construction of Mount Carmel. He actually did, I remember him doing the entire foundation for the gymnasium area. And I guess he understood carpentry in a very intimate way and helped create the building that you all have seen on the television. Everyone called him Rick. Susan Benta. There's some people we don't have proper pictures for. So Matt Howden did a rubbing at the gravesite. Susan Benta, British, age 31, died April 19th, 1993. She was of Jamaican descent. Mary Jean Borscht, American, age 49, died on April 19th, 1993. Heard David speak in Northern California with Trudy Meyer and Ophelia Santoyo. Joined David's group in the Palestine, Texas era. Her son Brad later became a policeman in Colorado. I always thought Brad was a neat kid. Whenever the band would play, he would be right there. Yeah. His leather jacket, you could tell that he really dug it, man. He was a really cool kid. And he's done quite well for himself in life, and I'm very happy for him. And that's what I wish for all the kids. Anyone who has survived and going on, just to have the best life you possibly can. Don't read the comments. Don't care what people say. Just be yourself and go kick ass. Mary Jean Borscht. Pablo Cohen, my buddy Pablo. He was a Well, I remember, so we did a lot of jamming with this guy.
That's the guitar.
Bass player, guitar player, bass player, absolutely. So Pablo was Israeli, age 38. He died in the fire April 19th, 93. He was from Argentina, but he met David in Israel. He was Jewish, and he could read fluent Hebrew. So he was given a bass guitar and joined David's band. David had met him, and I guess he had fallen on hard times and he had to sell his bass. David felt bad for him and bought him a brand new bass. And then he ended up listening to Dave and coming over and studying and adopting the Seven Seals as being his group and what he wanted to learn. And he joined the group. He was also the Hebrew translator in Bible studies. If we ever had a question, and Paul, I can see Paul smiling, remember this. If there was ever a question about words, what does this word mean? What does that word mean? We would go to the Hebrew and find out, well, what does the Hebrew say? Is this a masculine word? Is it a feminine word? And what is the meaning according to the Hebrew text? And try to put it in better context. And that's Pablo did wonderfully well. Okay, here we go. Abitawalo Davies. Did I get it? Thank you. What do we call? We called him. Dabo. We called him Dabo. Yeah, Dabo Davies, British, age 30. He died on April 19th, 1993, Nigeria. Dabo. Yeah, I remember Dabo. Sherry Doyle. American, age 18, died April 19th, 1993. Clive's youngest daughter. Spent much of the siege in the chapel with Clive and Marjorie Thomas. This is Sherry's Bible. My whole life, ever since this happened, I've been looking for a Bible with one of the survivors that has notes in it. The FBI took all of them, or they burnt in the fire. But everybody who exited the building came out with their Bibles. Then they were then confiscated by the FBI. When asked under Freedom of Information to have those Bibles returned, don't know where they are. You can't find them. You can't get them, which indicates to me that the government is a lot more scared of the scripture than they want to let on that they are. And they're certainly a little afraid of all the notes. Like if you go through even Sherry's Bible here, highlights everywhere with cross references. Absolutely. Colored pencils, just notes after notes. And this was a 16-year-old girl. Imagine Steve Schneider's Bible. Some of these Bibles are the 1 inch wide margins filled with cross references. I'd like to have all of these I could possibly find, but this is one that exists. It's Sherry Doyle's Bible. So she was 18, died on April 19th. Clive Doyle's youngest daughter, and spent much of the siege in the chapel with Clive and Marjorie Thomas. Of Beverly Elliott, British, age 30, died on April 19th, 93, and she was engaged to Winston Blake, was also killed on February 28th. Doris Fagan, British, age 60. She died in the fire on April 19th, 1993. Son Livingston was the last one negotiated out of the residence during the siege. Yvette Fagan, British, age 32, died April 19th, 93. Mother of two children sent out during the siege. Mother-in-law Doris was killed on April 19th. Husband Livingston, who was the last one negotiated the residence, he did some time in prison for February 28th, and ended up after his release in England, where he lives today. Yvette. Every time I see her face, I laugh. Lisa Marie Ferris, American, age 24, died on April 19th, 93. She met David in a music store in California, and she was definitely kind of like the local rocker chick. We loved great music. You know, we always talk about the 80s hair band metal stuff that we liked. And she once told David, I guess David was kind of going through a rut or something. He wasn't really that confident. She goes, "Don't you believe your own message, dude?" Lisa Ferris. He's an Canadian. He died in April 1993. He was previously a Mennonite, married to Tilly Friesen. Tilly used to go out into the field and get all kinds of grass and green things and make it into a paste that she would often give to me to drink. "Try this, Dave. It's gonna make you glow. You're just gonna love it. It's so good for you." But it tasted horrible. It tasted so bad. But always Tilly. Anyway, we'll get to her. This is Raymond, her husband. They're great people, though. Both became Branch Davidians. Raymond was one of the several people who came in the chapel area during April 19th when the fire started. Sandra Hardile, British, age 27. She died on April 19th, 1993. Sandra was of Jamaican descent. Okay, Zilla Henry. There's the Henry family. This is an entire family, so we're gonna meet them all now. They all came from England. I think there's seven of them. I think. Yeah, not the dad, but everyone else. So Zilla Henry, British, age 55. She died on April 19th, 1993. Brought her 5 young adult children to Mount Carmel in 1992, were all killed on April 19th. I want to say just a little something about the Henrys before we get into the segment. I believe several of them were Bible students, and they were going to further their careers. They were going to higher education for scripture. They wanted to be ministers. And very, very smart family, but all very devoted to scripture and really wanted to know what it really said. And they amongst others told me the same thing when I met them. They learned more from David Koresh in a couple of nights studying than they had their years studying at their higher education schools. So they dropped out and came to Waco to learn from David. I heard that story over and over again. So Zilla Henry. Double shot, that's good. Zilla's worth it. Diana Henry, British, age 28, died in the fire April 19th. Her mother was Zilla, and Diana's 4 siblings were all killed on April 19th. We have Stephen Henry, British, age 26, died on April 19th, 93. Mother Zilla Henry and Stephen's 4 siblings were killed on April 19th. Paulina Henry, British, age 24, died on April 19th, 1993. Mother was Zilla Henry, and Paulina's 4 siblings were all died on April 19th. Philip Henry, British, age 22, died April 19th, 93. I always thought he was older. He's so intelligent and well-spoken. He didn't seem like someone as young as 22. And a lot of the people there seem so much older to me. And I've said this before, and I will say it over and over again. Michelle, she just seemed someone that was my peer, someone that was my age. She didn't seem young. There was such a maturity amongst the young people at Mount Carmel. So Philip Henry. Vanessa Henry, British, age 19. She died in the fire on April 19th. Her mother, Zilla Henry and Vanessa's 4 siblings were all killed on April 19th as well. Novelette Sinclair Hipsman, Canadian, age 36, died on April 19th, 93. She's from Montreal, spoke French, met Clive Doyle in 81 in Canada, studied with Lois Roden. That's always interested me when they had studied with Lois before David took over. Friends and work cleaning jobs with Bonnie Haldeman, David Koresh's mother. So they were very close. You were very close because you made an audible gasp. So is there anything you'd like to say about
She used to wear one of those, we call them do-rags, but she had her head scarf artfully wrapped around her head. So it's very odd to see her head not covered.
Yeah.
Because she'd always have the scarf tied, and she would, remember putting right over here, and she.
Novelette. Okay. Oh, there we go. Floyd Outman. Floyd had been around for a long time there. He went through the we were talking with Paul Fatter earlier about the back in 85, I'm gonna leave it at that. Floyd Outman, American, age 61, died on April 1993. Now, Floyd came from New Bedford, Massachusetts, with 2 busloads full of people that were all interested. Him and his best friend, Stan Silva, ended up staying in the group for many, many years. Floyd was a boxing, I don't know if he was a champion, but he was definitely he boxed, I think, semi-professionally for a while. And he would often try to show me moves, which it ended up in me feeling pain, of course. Yeah, very big guy. You go to shake your hand, he tried to break it every time. So it's like you had to do hand exercises just to prepare for Floyd walking into the room. What a character that guy was, though. But you know what? He was the brother guy. Hey, brother, what are you doing, brother? I love you, brother. And that was Floyd all the time with everyone he'd ever met. He was just, no matter what, he was enthusiastic, positive, loved everyone. And he's just, I don't know, he was a great person. I really miss Floyd. He was in the chapel on April 19th. So he was one of the bodies found in the chapel area. Sherry Jewell, American, age in the fire on April 19th. She was from Hawaii and came over with the group, Paul and Dana. She taught kindergarten through 12th grade. She was a teacher, also the dean of a business college. Very intelligent young lady. She sang and taught Sabbath school for youth at Diamond Head SDA Church, Seventh-day Adventist Church. Her daughter, Kiri, went to live with her father in Michigan in 1992. Carrie. That one probably canceled. David M. Jones, American, age 38, died in the fire April 19th. Eldest son of Perry Jones. He was the mailman who learned of the impending raid on February 28th. Dad and sisters, Rachel and Michelle, were all killed, they all died on April 19th. He's a wonderful father to Mark, Kevin, and Heather, who were all negotiated out during the siege. And the kids love and miss their dad very much. I talked to Heather a lot more than probably anyone else. And, just really looks up to him. And we all miss David. David was quite a guy, quite a character. David Koresh, American, age 33. He died on April 19th, 1993. The original name was Vernon Wayne Howell. Visited Mount Carmel in 1991 to study under Lois Roden. Became leader of the Branch Davidians from 1994 to 1993. That's what I meant. It's actually written. Thank you. Yeah. From 1984 to 1993. He's a musician, a mechanic, carpenter, and taught the 7 seals. That took a minute. Rachel Howell Koresh, American, age 24, died on April 19th. Daughter of Perry Jones, who was killed on February 28th. Legal wife of David Koresh. sister of David and Michelle Jones, who were killed on April 19th. Rachel's 3 children also died in the fire on April 19th. Cyrus Howell, American, age 8. He died in the fire April 19th. Oldest child of David Koresh. Mother Rachel Howell Koresh and his 2 younger sisters were killed on April 19th. There's a detail I want to add. I just found this out. Talking to Roger last night, and I didn't realize this, and I wasn't going to mention it because it's a little heavy, but I think it needs to be mentioned. He and his sister, who we're going to meet here in a minute, Star, when their bodies were found, they were clutching each other so closely that they couldn't get them apart. So I just, after went through the building to the concrete bunker to put such an amazing amount of CS gas in all space with women and children huddled together for their lives. And all they had was each other to hold on to. I just want you all to think about that for a minute. When you think about Cyrus. Star Howell, American, age 6, died in the fire on April 19th, 1993. Her mother was Rachel Howell Koresh, and her brother and sister were all died on April 19th. Bobby Lane Koresh, age 2, died in the fire April 19th. Her mother, Rachel Howell Koresh, and her brother and sister were all killed on April 19th. Jeffrey Little, American, age 32. Sorry, it's funny. Died on April 19th, 1993, from Michigan, and Paul Fatt is a very good friend and roommate in Hawaii. We were talking about him last night. Computer expert, lived with Greg Summers in Hawaii. Jeffrey was almost shot on February 28th, but survived that to go through the siege, and always had a smile on his face. Yeah, Jeffrey always had a smile on his face.
I gotta find you a picture.
Yes. Please, let's do that for next year. I'd love to have a picture of Jeff. Nicole E. Gent Little, Australian, age 24, died on April 19th, 93. His twin brother, Peter Gent, was killed on February 28th. First day, Peter was the gentleman that was buried in the front of the building. Married to Jeff Little, who was killed on April 19th. Mother of Dalen and Pages, who died on April 19th. Nicole's unborn baby also died on April 19th. Dalen L. Gent, American, age 3. He's 3 years old when he died on April 19th. He died with his mother, Nicole Gent Little, on April 19th, and Dalen's 2 siblings had also died on April 19th. Pages Gent, American, 1 year old, died with his mother, Nicole Gent Little, on April 19th. Unborn baby Gent. It says on the gravestone, aborted fetus Gent, because of the heat of the fire. Many of the mothers that were pregnant had miscarriages too. Died on April 19th, 1993. Mother was Nicole Gent Little. The baby's 2 siblings were also killed on April 19th. Livingston Malcolm. We got to find this cat's picture too. I'm telling you. Stone. We called him Stone.
The t-shirt with his cousin.
Yeah. So when I met this guy, he showed me a picture of this incredibly large family. And he goes, "That's Bob Marley." It was the singer Bob Marley. And he goes, "That's me." So he was one of the cousins of Bob Marley, and he was in the family picture. And Wally, I'm telling you, Wally,
Yeah.
you have to help me carry this log, Wally. It's just what he was like. He was a funny individual. He wore this T-shirt, and it says, "I'm," and then he had a square cut out of the T-shirt, and then under it says, "You wouldn't understand." I'm like, what the hell does that mean? He goes, "I'm black. You wouldn't understand." I'm like, oh. Spike, yeah. One of the 10, and then on April 19th, and cousin of Stone. You wouldn't understand. You're right, but it's okay. Diane Martin, British, age 41. Died in April 1993. Had traveled to Texas several times to study with David. Douglas Wayne Martin, American, age 42. Wayne died in the fire on April 19th, 1993. Married to Sheila, who exited during the siege. Very fortunate to have Sheila here amongst us today. Had 7 children. 4 died on April 19th. He's the one that called 911. Sorry, he called 911 during the ATF raid, asking them to stop shooting at us, and for God's sakes, back away from the building, which they didn't for 45 minutes. He was a Harvard-educated attorney and law school librarian, and he had a law practice in Waco. He had a lot of ties here within the city of Waco. He, Steve, and David were probably the 3 most intelligent people I'd ever known. That's my dad, and Jeff. Wayne Joseph Martin, American, age 20, died in April 1993, son of Douglas Wayne and Sheila. 3 siblings and father were killed on April 19th as well. Little Wayne, we called him. Very smart young man he was. Very intelligent. Anita Marie Martin, American, age 18, died in the fire on April 19th, 93. She's the daughter of Douglas Wayne and Sheila. 3 siblings and father were all killed on April 19th. She was best friends with Sherry Doyle. They were pretty much inseparable. Yeah, they were. Yeah, you've been invited to the party. Okay, guys. Sheila Renee Martin, American, age 15, died on April 19th, 93. Daughter of Douglas Wayne and Sheila Martin. 3 siblings and father were all died on April 19th as well. Sheila.
We called her Sheila Jr.
Lisa Marie Martin, Sheila Jr. American, age.
No, we called Sheila.
Oh, Sheila. Well, of course. Well, you're late. Let's go. Okay, hold on. Sheila Jr. Lisa Marie Martin. American, age 1990. Daughter Douglas Wayne on April 19th. John Mark McBean, British, age 27. sorry guys. I have this image of him coming down the hall. David, do you have time for a study? I have some news I think I should share with you. This very studious individual, wasn't he? His mother and sister knew most of the British people at Mount Carmel. They sure did. His sister Janet McBean was in California with a few other Branch Davidians in 1993. He asked some excellent questions too, and he's one of those people where the study can take a different turn just from one question, because he just perceives so much more than me for sure, but a lot of other people as well that were there. John McBean. Bernadette Monbelly, British, age 31. Look at that smile. Died on April 1993. Friends with John Mark McBean's family. Always had a smile on her face like that. Just, I don't know, one of a kind, really. Bernadette Monbelly. Rosemary Morrison, British, age 29. Died on April 19th, 93. Mother of Melissa was also killed on April 19th, buried here in Waco. Melissa Morrison, British, age 6, died on April 19th, 93. She died with her mother, Rosemary, on that day, and she's buried in Waco next to her mother. British, age 29, April 19th, 1993. Teresa Nobrega, British, age 48, died in the fire April 19th, 93, of Portuguese descent. Daughter Natalie negotiated out during the siege. Teresa's husband kept in touch with Clive Doyle throughout the years, excuse me. James L. Riddle, American, age 32, died in the fire April 19th, 93. Jimmy, we call him, from North Carolina. He was great friends with Clive Doyle and Bonnie Haldeman. His sister Rita Riddle came out during the siege. His niece Misty Ferguson was badly burned in the fire but survived it. She was one of the 9 fire survivors. James Riddle. Juliet Santoyo, American, age 30, died in the fire April 1993. She was of Mexican descent, daughter of Ophelia Santoyo, who exited during the siege. Her 5 children also died in the fire on April 19th. I got tape of Juliet. I want to play it, but we didn't really have a mic set up or a proper way to do it where everyone can hear it, because it's kind of grainy. But she's talking to one of the negotiators, and he's trying to get her to come out. She's saying, why would I want to come out? You guys shot at my little girl who was in the window, and I had to grab her when you first came in on February 20th. Why would I go out to you? And the tape goes on, and she says, we know you're going to bring tanks in here and destroy this place. And they're like, we're not going to do that. We would never do that, the negotiator says. And she's like, you're going to bring tanks in here, and you're going to kill us. You're going to run us over with tanks. And again, the negotiator is, we would never do that. We just want you to come out. And of course, they came in with the tanks and destroyed the building and started running people over. So she was right. I'll have to get that to enhance it where everyone can hear it, because it's a pretty powerful tape. Julie. It's her daughter. Audrey M. Martinez, American, age 13, died in the fire. Mother was Juliet Santoyo. 4 siblings were also killed on April 19th. Abigail Martinez, American, age 11, died on April 19th, 93. Mother was Julie, also killed on April 19th. Her 4 siblings were also killed on April 19th. Joseph S. Martinez, American, age 8, died in the fire on April 19th. Mother was Juliet Santoyo, and 4 siblings who were also killed on the same day. I can't say that. Isaiah Barrios, this kid was always had a smile on his face. I used to play, I taught him how to play cards for crayons. I always won.
Who knew?
I always had the most crayons at the end. Isaiah was what a little kid. I mean, he was just a charmer. He was a charmer. This kid. Anyway, I spent a lot of time with him and his brother. American, age 4, died on April 19th. Mother was Juliet Santoyo. 4 siblings were also killed on April 19th. Isaiah. Yeah, I know. I didn't. His nickname was Taco. Kid. Crystal Barrios, age 3, died April 19th, 93. Mother was Juliet Santoyo, and her 4 siblings were also died on April 19th. Crystal. For those of you, if some of you have heard the video, she's the one that said, "Are you going to come in here and kill me?" And then the negotiator says, "No, we're not going to come in and kill you." It's like, "You're going to come in and kill me?" No. So I know a lot of people have heard that tape. This is the little girl that said it. Rebecca Sapaia.
Saipaia.
I knew you'd get it right. Sapaia. Rebecca's from New Zealand, age 24, and died in the fire on April 19th. Rebecca was of Samoan descent. Her sister, Grayson Poya, lived. They lived with David's group in Palestine, Texas. They survived the siege.
I went to New Zealand in 2019 and visited Grace and Poya. And I went to her grave because her mother had just passed away. And she was buried with Rebecca's ashes. And Rebecca has her own special memorial with a special tree with yellow flowers because yellow was her favorite color. And it was blooming when I was there.
Oh, how special.
Beautiful. Thank you. Steve Schneider, ladies and gentlemen. American, age 43. Best talker I've ever known in my life. He could sell you shoes if you didn't have legs, this guy. American, age 43. Died in the fire, April 19th. Steve was from Wisconsin. I'm still in touch with his sister, Sue, now lives in South Carolina. Oh, hey, I got to tell you, I got a lot of things to tell you about the Illuminati. Let's talk about the Illuminati. And he just go on for, oh, hey, you're going to love this. So that was Steve from Wisconsin. He met David Koresh in Hawaii. Also a member of the Diamond Head SDA Church. Paul Dana, religious studies major at the University of Hawaii. Joined David's group during the Palestine, Texas era. And he negotiated with agents during the siege. He was also David's right-hand man. He's the reason that we had a lot of music equipment because somehow he could negotiate getting everything 10% over cost. Crazy. But he had the gift of gab. That guy right there is amazing. Steve is very missed. Steve Schneider. Judy Schneider, American, age 41, died on April 19th during the fire. Wounded on February 28th in her hand, her finger, is the wife of Steve and mother of Mina, who both died on April 19th. Mina Schneider, age 2, died April 19th, 1993. Died with her mother Judy in the fire. Cliff Sellers, British, age 33, he died in the fire on April 19th. He was the artist. He painted. He was incredible. He applied for Disney. He wanted to be a Disney artist, but he didn't get it because they told him that he was too detailed. You think of Disney, they got 3 figures, right? They try to make bigger shapes. Cliff was just too detailed of a mind to do that. He couldn't do that kind of work. To me, he was too good. He painted artwork on the guitars and motorcycles. He was born in Hong Kong. His father was in the military. Painted New Religious Charge during the siege. And he also painted the messages on the sheets that were thrown out of the window. Messages like Rodney King, we understand. I remember that one pretty specifically. And God help us, we want the press. To which the press responded, God help us, we are the press. He did, yeah, he was a incredible person. I loved talking to Cliff and spending time with him, just watching his artwork. He had a little cartoon thing he came up with called Ernie the Egret, which I think probably translates better in Europe than here for some reason. But he had all these little egret characters that would fly around. Ernie, Cliff Sellers. Scott Sonobi, or Scott Ichiro.
Kojiro.
Thank you. You do it. Just say the name.
Scott Kojiro Sonobe.
Oh, that's beautiful. She got the accent down and everything.
That's Hawaii, that's
Sorry, that one laugh. Scott Sonobe, American, age 35, died on April 19th, 93. Japanese American, worked for a company that transported disabled people. Hawaii. His father once came to Waco to thank David Koresh for straightening his son's life out. You remember that, Paul? Married to Floresita, and father to Crystal and Angelica. Floresita Sonobi, age 34. She's an American. Died in the fire. Filipino-American. Married to Scott, who was also killed on April 19th. Mother to Crystal and Angelica, who were the first children to be sent out after the BATF raid. Gregory A. Summers, American, age 28. He died in the fire on April 19th, 93. Greg is from New York, married to Aisha Garfus. They worked with Judy Schneider, very good friends with Peter Hipsman. Peter and Greg had a comedy routine that they often performed for talent shows, things that we did. They were very funny. Greg, I mentioned Greg earlier. He was the guy that went on the other side of the road and buried Peter, Jen, and lined the dogs up so that the world could see what they had done to our animals. Greg Summers. Aisha Garfus Summers, Australian, age 17. She died in April 19th, 93. Is of Hungarian descent. She came to Texas with brother Oliver, who exited during the siege. Mother of Startle, an unborn baby who died on April 19th. Startle Summers, American, age 1. Died April 19th, 93. and died with her mother, Aisha Summers, on that day. Unborn baby Gaiaphas Summers, American, died April 19th, 93, with her mother, Aisha Gaiaphas Summers. Lorraine Sylvia, American. She was age 40, died in April 1993. Born in England, but was from New Bedford, Massachusetts. Good friends with Sheila Martin. Married to Stan Sylvia. Her son Joshua was sent out during the siege. Lorraine died with her two daughters, Rachel and Hollywood, on April 19th.
Called her Larry.
Yeah, that's right. I just call her Larry. Slide to fix for next year. Rachel Sylvia, American, age 12. Died with her mother, Lorraine Sylvia, on April 19th. Al Sylvia, American, age 1. Died with her mother, Lorraine Sylvia, on April 19th. Michelle Jones, American, age 18, died on April 19th in the fire. Michelle was the daughter of Perry Jones, who was killed on February 28th. Her mother, Mary Bell Jones, was not at Mount Carmel during the siege. She had left the building earlier and was living in a property off the property. A sister of Rachel Howell Koresh, David Jones, who died on April 19th. Michelle's 3 children also perished in the fire. Serenity C. Jones, American, age 4, died with her mother, Michelle Jones, on April 19th, 1993, during the fire. Chica Jones, age 22 months, died with her mother, Michelle Jones, on April 19th, twin of little one Jones. Little one Jones, 22 months, died with her mother, Michelle Jones, on April 19th with Chica. Margarita Vega, age 47, she was an American, born in China, came to Texas from Hawaii. She owned a bakery in Hawaii that was quite successful. Married to Neil Vega, who died on April 19th. They sent daughter Joanne out during the siege. She died on April 19th, 1993. Neil Vega, American, age 38, died on April 19th. Of Samoan descent, he was born in America when parents were traveling. He played guitar in David Koresh's band. That must have been early. Buried in Auckland, New Zealand. Mark H. Wendell, American, age 40. Died on April 19th, 93. Worked for several school districts in California. Head deacon at Diamond Head SDA Church. Married to J. Dean, who was killed on April 19th. And father of 4 children who were sent out during the siege.
She didn't count on February 20th.
That's okay. Correction for next year. Somebody write that down. Let me get this for dinner.
What was the correction? I didn't hear that, Dave.
The correction was, what was the correction?
And J. Dean, his
Oh,
wife,
yeah.
J. Dean, died on February 28th, not April 19th.
Married today, J. Dean, who was killed on April 19th, is what we have. We just got to change it to February.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I thought I mentioned that one last year. Okay.
That's the end. That's the end. And that's
What's the total?
76, 86. Oh yeah, we're talking. Yeah, okay, yeah, 86 then, and that's including the ATF agents.
I put stones in that base here to show the light. I put stones in that base to show how many it was down on the floor.
Oh boy, that's gonna be.
But it should be at least 80.
You know.
The 80%. I don't know. I'm sure.
You know what?
That's good.
Is that we're saying bye to everyone?
Yeah, you're saying bye.
Bye everyone. Thank you so much for attending and for being here on the Zoom. We really appreciate it. Did you guys hear the bell ring? No.
Not really. We just heard a
Yeah,
tap.
I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks guys for attending. Appreciate it. Love you all.
Hi, guys.
What was that?
Well, there we have it, guys.
I was trying to hit end. Oh.
No,
Okay.
I did not.
Now that
Let me close that out because it'll keep going in the background. So thank you guys for joining us to watch the memorial and paying respects to those that lost their lives on April 19th, as well as February 28th. Today was kind of focused on the last day of it. It's just gut-wrenching. It's when you start seeing the babies and just knowing these were people that were just trying to live a life that they believed in, standing for what they believed in. And I wish things would have gone differently. I wish the powers that be, which would be the government and David Koresh, would have done things a little bit differently. More lives would have been saved. So, anyways, thank you for joining me. I hope that you have a great weekend. I was going to go in and play some of the other videos, but I'm going to leave it at this today. And I'm going to do another live and talk about what is out there and what we know. And do a little bit deeper dive. Maybe I can get a couple of guests to come on. So, alrighty, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And let me find some music real quick. I like this one. But I have it muted. A bit more for the video. Anyways, have a good one. And we will see y'all soon. Membership link, I will make a community post just for that. I'm going to be doing a membership live this weekend. So anyways, have a good one, guys.
Stop us, fly at them like choppers, better cook those risks, cool, but in my fists we fire starters, one out of a million will reach those heights, always in the field and then I won't deny that work.